workshop. All no prayer. I do want to, prior to starting, I just want to discuss the ground rules from everybody to everybody for this workshop. No finger pointing, no disrespect. We're not yelling at each other. We're not having that in here tonight. And if that happens, I'm going to ask you to leave. And that goes for anybody in here. We don't need that. We want to have a good, wholesome conversation about it, a good discussion, and then move forward. I think the antics that happened the last time were all politically motivated antics. But I want to make sure that moving forward that we don't have that in this meeting. We're here because you guys obviously have something to say, and we need to hear that loud and clear without all the cloudiness in the room. So the way I want to start is, if you guys want to start and come up one at a time, just come up and go ahead and kind of talk about, you know, the things that you think that will, you know, that we can hear, some things that's went on in the past, anything that you got to bring, just do that. We'll hear you guys. We want to try to be somewhere about an hour with this conversation. But if it does go over an hour, then we go over an hour. I just want to make sure that we do it though, you know, respectfully. So Gary, Scott, any of you guys that want to start and come up and just kind of present, you know, your case, then everybody can hear it and we'll kind of go from there. It is, it's not formal like a council meeting, but you know, I would still like for you to come forward to talk and not talk out into the crowd. So whoever wants to talk, just, you know, come forward, state your name so everybody knows who's talking, and then we can kind of go from there. Okay? Is that fair?
Yeah, fair enough.
All right.
My name's Gary Carter. Everybody knows me pretty much. The meeting we're having tonight to discuss how to make our department better. That's the main goal. And the second part of that be for us to be able to work back in, still be volunteers. Okay, as you know, I've been here like 36 years, a long time. I just had a truck dedicated to me a year and a half ago. And then we get a letter in the mail saying, we don't need you no more. One thing I would like to clarify right off the bat, it was brought to my attention because I got a little upset last time with the chief. He did apologize to me, so he brought that to my attention. Next morning I went and talked to him, so I think we're good there.
Very good.
I think one of the main thing is what everybody wants to talk about tonight is trying to get everybody back to where it was for me, Scott, the rest of the fellows, to be able to participate running calls like we have been. Okay. Ms. Riley, you said something about I had only run 100 calls last month. I mean last year. Is that what you're saying?
No, sir, from January to May 24th or 5th of this year.
Okay. And
Not last year,
where did you get your statistics from?
from the fire department.
From the fire department stuff? Okay. It's right. I agree with you because I looked at it myself. But you got it from the chief, I'm assuming, Chief Reed?
Sure.
Okay. Did Chief Reed tell you I was on medical?
Did you tell me that you were on medical?
Yeah.
In the past, yes.
He did tell you that? Okay, well, that's why my numbers are so low. But if you know about 23, 22, 21, you're up here.
I have those calls.
Sir,
I have those calls for 22, 23, and 24.
what were they?
In 2022, you wrote 606 calls. 2023, you wrote 174 calls,
That's when that surgery started?
Mm-hmm.
and then you had 100 calls.
Right. Which I think is pretty good because after looking at everybody else's, guys at 2448, they're running 150.
Yeah,
So
not
I'm not really
disputing
that
that
low.
you have good numbers.
I'm not really that low.
Yeah, we
But-
absolutely agree.
But in the letter that we read to you all, that was one of the reasons why they wanted to do away with the volunteers not responding. I just want to clarify
So, agreed.
that.
However, the letter is taking the volunteer program as a whole,
Yeah,
not just your numbers. So know that you and Scott respond to the bulk of the calls.
that's correct. That's correct. That's why, when we talked about the letter the last time, everything that's in that letter is not true. Because I pulled the records, and there's nothing that says what he's trying to implement.
What's not true? Specifically.
Everything the letter said. Let's see. Strategic plan was one of them.
I can hear you.
The strategic plan, I guess you pronounce it that way?
City plan.
Thank you.
Strategic plan.
Oh,
Yeah.
strategic plan, okay.
Yeah, the strategic plan. Not very good, but anyway. Economic growth, specific decipherment that was in the letter that, was emailed to us, sent certified to us. And according to records, they don't have anything, on there. The other thing it says that your request, you digitally surfer records you requested. You already received documentation, termination of the fire department, prior requesters, no written strategic plan or written communication regarding interdepartmental strained relationships. That's
So
really.
you're saying that there's no interdepartmental strained relationships either?
Yes, dear. According to the email I got.
But
No,
I'm
big record.
asking you,
Ma'am?
I'm asking you, were there interdepartmental strained relationships?
Yes, there is. But it's on both sides.
Understood.
Okay.
Not saying that it's not.
And, you know, I could elaborate a lot about that. But we're here tonight, let's try to make something work, if you don't mind. I like what I do, I've done it for a long time. It's been more or less my second home, I guess you'd say. All the time away from my family, compared to, you know, other people. I do what the chief wants me to do. Not only with the first responder and fire side of it. I go here and I go there for him. Correct, chief? For us to stand up here tonight and talk about what's gonna be good for the department, I would have to get a commitment from Chief Reed if he'd be willing to work with us.
So you're putting out an ultimatum.
Now,
Is that an ultimatum?
no. I'm just, because I believe he asked me at the meeting if I was willing to work with the chief, correct?
Yes.
Ricky?
Your response to that was he would have to change his ways.
Ma'am?
Your response to that question was he would have to change his ways.
Well, no, not, well, to a certain point, yeah.
That's exactly what you said.
To a certain point, yeah.
All right, well, I wanna say this. You guys had to have known that the volunteer fire department, the volunteer part, wouldn't last forever.
I'm with you, I know, I said 10 years, it ended up being 8,
Because we are growing by leaps and bounds.
yes ma'am.
And our first dedication, even though y'all are volunteers, has to be to our full-time employees.
Why?
As a city, it has to be.
I'm dedicated to the city.
I know
have
that, but
been.
I'm talking like right now.
I am dedicated to the city.
We're not saying that you're not, Gary.
We're,
Our dedication and focus has to be on the employees that we have hired to do a specific job.
the full-time job,
Oh, okay,
the full-time job, people that are there 24/7.
yeah.
And understand this, it's very what you're asking from us, based off of the numbers and based off of the response calls, I have two very active volunteer firefighters. That is not a department, not a program. So we're putting a lot of resources into a volunteer program that has two responders.
But you're not putting anything into it.
We
We're-
absolutely are.
We're not doing nothing.
We absolutely, it
We
costs
have no,
us money
ma'am,
to
we
have
we
you
haven't
on
had
staff.
training in 6 months.
Huh?
We have had no training in 6 months.
And that's part of the problem.
Well, that goes back on the chief, he's the chief.
But it does cost the city money in order to have a volunteer fire program. Are we disputing that?
Chief, do you have training?
I do have training.
How much training do y'all do?
In 2022, Scott Brooks had 76 hours, Mark Jervis had 52, William Jervis had 80, Gary Kohler had 78, Thompson Pruitt had 46, Doug Rowland had 22. 23, Scott Brooks had 89.30, Mark had 58, William had 60, Gary had 60, Thompson Pruitt had 34, Doug Rowland had 13. As of 24, Scott Brooks had 12 hours and 30 minutes, William Jervis had 5:30. Gary Core had 16, and Thompson Pruitt had 1.
Alright, so what about?
Our paid staff had,
That's what I wanna know.
I left that paper in the office.
I can tell you that paid staff in 2024, they had an average of 147.8 training hours.
Well, that's
across
good,
the board.
that's exactly right. But
Well,
they,
good
they,
rules.
they did their training during the daytime, we did our training on Tuesday night.
So that's a question that I had. I just wanted to, like the older days, they used to have their meetings on one night per week.
Yes, sir.
And then that, and I mean, I'm just saying this, I lived in Springfield when I was little, and I used to see them go, Rock Johnson and those guys.
Okay.
Go over there, and, it was like one night per week.
Right.
And then they would do their training over there then.
That's correct.
And so and they used to get the training hours based off of the hours that they were there.
That's correct.
So, one of the things that I was looking at when I was trying to come up with my numbers in my head was, when we got that average of, and I think, Randy, you told me it was 3-point-something hours on an average per month that we were getting, for the volunteers. And
From
one,
January to May.
yeah, from January to May, and I was, me trying to do the math, I thought, well, if we had 6 guys, and they were here, and they got 2 hours worth of training, or 3 hours worth of training on a Tuesday night,
Yeah.
then if you look at 6 times 2, that's 12,
Yeah.
times, that's, times 4.33, because that's how we would figure out the month.
Yeah.
And that's how I figured it, and I don't know what the number is, I'm sorry. But if you did that by the month, so, in 5 months that we're talking about here, we would be, the city would feel like we would have a good bit of training,
Yeah.
based off of just the Tuesday night. If we didn't do
If
it.
it was just Tuesday night, each one of them should conceivably have received 40 hours of training.
Do what?
40 hours worth of training,
From-
if it was 2 hours on a Tuesday night, from January to May 20-something.
It was 40 hours.
40 hours per person.
So that's, and I didn't know, and the reason I'm asking you that, Gary, because I didn't know whether whether that was still a thing, whether volunteers came in on a Tuesday night. I didn't know whether y'all trained separate or how that worked
Yes,
out.
sir,
So
we
just
came
a
every
question.
Tuesday night, there was no drill to be did, and I have.
Okay.
The other shifts didn't wanna do it with us. Now, with that said, there was a couple of the shifts that had drills on the daytime, and I happened to be available, so I went to it. Okay, I did that a few times.
And that's where most of your training hours came from,
Yeah.
So his came mostly from the daytime.
daytime training.
Yeah.
So that was my question to Chief Reed, is if training would be open to the volunteers, anytime you conducted training, if they
Correct.
were available.
But training should have been.
But they had,
every Tuesday night.
their training
I have that as well.
time because of, you know, some of them probably.
Yeah, for years, it's always been
Other
separate,
jobs.
just like you said.
Yeah, it's always been separate, that's the way I've always seen
We
it.
run training,
But-
we run 3 training evolutions in a row during the day to cover each shift of what they're gonna get trained. We had, Gary showed up to several trainings during the day because he had to take on vehicle and he doesn't have a job and he was able to come to those trainings. Well, you know.
It's okay to be
You're
retired.
retired.
Yeah, it's okay to be retired.
Yeah, well, you just say retired.
You're retired.
But I mean, that's the story as far as the training goes, okay?
So there's plenty of training available for you to get during the day, for those of you that are retired and, I mean, I'm not, I know
And the
there's two
Tuesday
of you-
night is also available.
And Tuesday night's also available, Chief?
Tuesday night was supposed to be a bit, but it stopped, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
We had no Tuesday night
Yeah,
play.
that's what I was trying to figure
No
out. how
Tuesday
long
night
Tuesday night.
training 24, cause the shifts didn't wanna do it.
Okay.
They said they worked too hard on the daytime, they wanted the rest of
It's
the night.
probably been January,
Sir?
she asked me.
With
Question.
Tuesday.
So I
We
guess.
only have 1 or 2 show up. You have to remember, when you're training 3 types of personnel. You're training operational folks who can go in and fight fire.
Mhm.
You're having to train volunteer support who cannot go inside. All they can do is handle things on the outside.
Mhm.
Which is a pretty big job, folks, hope you know that. These guys appreciate we change the air bottle out for them, getting them water, something to drink. Yeah, running it a tool, they appreciate it. Well, I thought they did.
And what's the third? Operational volunteer support and.
Operational volunteer support and, then the third would have been, volunteer with suppression.
Do we have volunteer with suppression?
We have 1,
Two,
2, 3,
all right, 3, yeah.
3 volunteer suppression, 3 support.
Okay, so Chief, you're saying that a lot of times y'all have training during the day and then do it on Tuesday night and just 1 or 2 show up. Are you saying that, or is that kinda how that worked, or?
What I asked for
I'm
was,
asking Chief.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Particular nights, 1 or 2 would show up, depending on some nights, depending on how many people would show up. So you have to plan 3 different training evolutions for that night. Whereas during the day, we could work on those 3 training evolutions for the retired folks who come to drill.
Well, and I hope everybody is hearing what, and I hope you guys are hearing what Brandy's saying about a program. We're talking about a program that is supposed to work, and we have 2 guys in the whole program that is truly responding and fighting, and, you know what I'm saying? So I really want you to think about that too.
I'm
is
talking about it, sure.
we have, and I don't know how that works, I know, again, just from what I understood in the past, there was a person that kinda led the volunteer group that would make sure that those guys were at, they were at the meeting, they would talk to them, during the weekend or whatever, and say, hey, make sure you're there at the meeting because we got this training going on or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I keep hearing 2 guys that really care about the volunteer side, but the program was not successful because you were the only 2 guys that was really putting the effort in.
Well.
And I don't wanna take that from, come on up. No, it's wide open.
Let me go back to that real quick.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
I've been trying for a year since Chief Reed took over the chief's position
Mhm.
to try to get something to accumulate people.
Mhm.
Number one, the sign down at the end of the street.
Mhm.
They couldn't wait to tear that thing down after they found out we got hacked,
Right.
got that, which I think was very unfair. Anyway, that's up to the chief about it.
Mhm.
Now, my wife, she's done a lot of digging the last couple of days.
She's behind me.
Oh. And I'll tell you what, you're gonna be amazed what she's fixing to tell you. I'm amazed.
And, yeah, I would like to hear that, so if you wanna step on up, ma'am, come on up and-
So, I just wanna say about, you're talking about the program,
Yes, ma'am.
and there's been no priority put on the program, because I've spoken to, and as far as volunteers going away, there's fast you can have, but
Okay.
I spoke to, Liberty County Fire Chief, who has a combined, like Chief Reed does in his, much larger, of course, but the principles are the same.
Mhm.
And his recruiting program is a top priority.
Mhm.
Listen to some, okay, and I also have something that I can give you, I have one. This is, you can get this off the internet, but all the ideas that you can use for recruitment. Basically, and I see in the budget where police have recruitment of $7,500. I didn't see anything for recruitment that's being done. So what I'm trying to say is, volunteer program is added value. Since your budget is so small and you have to make the best of it, volunteers is the cheap way to get coverage.
Right.
I'm not saying don't have paid, but I'm just saying, you want your focus on paid, but your focus should also be on volunteers, because they're out there. But you can't just sit in your firehouse and say, oh, they're just gonna come. No, you gotta work at it, and that has not been done in Rincon. So, the,
So can I, and I just wanna ask you a question. 'Cause
Yes.
I like what you said there, but I wanna make a point.
yes,
Again, when I was growing up, we had volunteers and they were friends and they were in school. And those guys would come to us and they would say, hey, what do you think about coming and being a volunteer? So I'm not gonna, and what I'm saying is, I
You're
don't
hitting
wanna
the
put
nail
all.
on the head.
Yeah, I don't wanna put all that ownership on the department as much as, you know, when you're trying to build that program, these guys right here can go out and say, hey man, how would you like to volunteer and build that program? So I think, you know, that's kind of a rounded.
so in Liberty County,
Mhm.
so 2013, he was a volunteer. He became chief in 2017. And so since he's been there, and I asked him about having the combination. He said the culture that he instills is that they're all one. They're all respected and called upon for what they bring to the station, whatever that might be.
Right.
They all have to have the same kind of certification. They all have to have training hours. They have drills every Monday night. Whether volunteers show up or not, it's prepared, it's ready.
Mhm.
But they do hold them to account for their training hours.
Right.
They also have in-house training of 18 weeks, which is offered for 24 on and 24 off, which is preferred. He does not like taking them to the state, because that takes 3 years, and then they have to come back to Liberty County and learn all the protocols and processes for their station.
Mhm.
They also have worked with Savannah Tech, which we have right here, right up the road in Springfield. Dual enrollment with the Liberty College and Career Academy, which high school juniors and seniors can choose firefighting as an elective, and upon graduation, they will be eligible to hire. So they have a foot in the door.
Firefighter and the volunteer.
As a volunteer, well, I guess whatever they would decide,
Yeah.
they're eligible.
Because.
They could be a
because-
volunteer, they could be paid.
Because I think Lou said last night that we had a guy coming out of high school that was going into.
But that's only because his father brought him up here. It isn't because of anything
Right.
that we've done to promote
That's right.
the volunteer
Yeah.
program. We're just letting it die, when it could be something very valuable, not
I
just,
just wanna say, I
No,
brought,
come on up.
I brought that kid from Kroger.
Okay, great.
I mean,
So-
not just funding, but your community involvement.
So Bernie, I have one quick question, and maybe you can speak on this, but Lou, did we ever, because I don't understand how the stipend works, did we ever deny stipend or anything for any of the guys that didn't show up?
Yes.
We, so.
You had to make
Fire company. requirement.
There's
a
requirement to
correct.
get the stipend, they will.
Okay, okay.
So even if you made the training drills but no calls, you weren't eligible for the
You
stipend.
wouldn't pay eligible for the stipend?
Correct.
Okay.
So, I had a question.
Go ahead.
So, it's actually directed at you. You said that according to the fire department that you spoke to, they're required to have the same certification and the same training hours.
Yes.
Would you agree that we don't have that here in Rankin?
Yes, I would agree, and I would say that's somebody's responsibility. Yes, as it is with this fire department, it's their number one priority, and it's their responsibility to ensure that, and to keep each member abreast of the training, in case they should fall short. I also didn't get to the part about funding, commissioner support, how they have the grants, $400,000 worth of grants that they put in to bring money into the fire department. They also talked about, the firefighting program provides, SPOS. SPOS is huge for funding for the you also said, since you don't have property taxes here, you said that the water bill is usually what brings in the funding for the fire department. And that if you don't have property taxes here, then if we did have, I don't know, do we have restaurants that sell liquor here? But if we did,
No. Well, yeah.
We did.
but if we do, that liquor tax goes to the county, not the city. So, I mean, there's lots of different things to be thinking about instead of just letting this die.
I know we have a fire fee on our water bill, right?
Yeah.
So I know that we utilize that piece of it.
Yes, we are an enterprise fund.
Right.
We are only self-supported by the money that we draw from the water bill and the commercial fire fee.
And you
There's
have a boot,
There's no intermingling of the monies. So, we took a $600,000 hit last year. So, we made it up by $14 on the water bill and 15% more on the commercial fire fee. In 2024, the CIDs are gonna start kicking in, as well as the commercial fire fees. So money is coming in. However, Liberty County is a little bit different tax base than we are.
Yes, and that's why he was telling me about the water bill and the grants and the liquor tax.
The water bill is how we're currently,
the water bill is our fund.
that's how we're funding it now.
Mhm.
Liberty County Fire Department is a new fire department who did not have the funds to self-support itself, so they went out and they fought for the grants. It's hard for us because we finish with money left over every year to get grants. We don't spend to the bottom dollar because we have no.
That might have been Liberty County in the beginning, it is not Liberty County now. They have a $5 million budget.
I understand.
So,
That budget's not coming from grants now, that's how he started it, is my understanding,
Right.
from what you're saying and what he's saying.
he's still getting grants.
On top of that.
Yes. I don't know what they are, I didn't go into the specifics, I mean, I could go back and find out, but, and also, what I just passed around there, that organization, the NAVP, they assist with getting grants, like if you don't have time to do it. They, if you're a member, they'll assist you to help you find the right, and scholarships, you know, if you wanna entice children, if you could get some type of funding for a scholarship, even a little one, it would be something to draw them in.
We have tried to get the fire program here at Savannah Tech started between both fire departments to pool personnel, and it's not a fund that they were ready to tackle yet.
To pull personnel and
To
a
pull
fund,
high
explain
school
all that.
students, to pull high school students from,
For the county and the city.
for the county and the city.
You're talking about the College and Career Academy?
Yes.
Train high school kids to move into the
To
fire
do,
department.
correct, to transition into the fire department.
So who, when did you speak and who did you speak to?
Clint and I have spoke with the doctor, what's her, yes.
And what were her objections?
Right now, it's funding. Because you have to have all the equipment, the bunker gear, the air packs, that it takes a big chunk of change to get started.
Mhm.
So what we've done is we've hired a grant writer,
Mhm.
and now we can go after the AFG and the SAFER grant. The problem is, we don't finish in the red. We have money left over,
What I'm saying is
and
that
we've been turned down
there's an
multiple
opportunity
times.
there. If you're just gonna be saying, we can't do it, I'm sorry.
I don't think that's what he's saying, I think he's setting an
Sounds like it's
expectation.
in
No, we're setting an expectation that while we have every intention to go apply for grants, there's no guarantee that we will get.
No, there isn't. There's none. But that's why you got, did you say you hired someone to apply for grants?
We have a grant.
We have
We have a grant writer
for
on
this
staff.
entire
We'll
season.
see.
So that just means that you have to keep on with it. I mean, if it's a shortage of people, I'll be glad to help. But I'm just saying, you can't just, a couple times, oh, we didn't get it, oh, well, no. Especially if you're in dire need of money. Are you in dire need of money, or is it just the fire department? I'm confused here. Because the police, which of course they have to recruit, but I don't understand why we're not investing in recruitment. One of the counselors said, safety is number one the other night in the meeting. Well, fire department and police are safety. So there should be a big priority in using every means to fulfill that. And not just say, we're gonna go one way.
All right, well, I totally agree, as long as everyone can qualify with the same qualifications as the full-timers.
We are
If you can
qualified.
pass every test that they do, I wanna see it.
He should have it.
I think this
It's
is
in the,
good.
it's in his records.
I
He
wanna
should have
see
it.
I wanna see all qualifications, I wanna
Preliminary
see you,
physicals.
everything. You have to be, and if you're that passionate about being a firefighter, apply full-time.
You think they're gonna
Full-time
hire me at
does- I don't work
73 years old?
Why are they
full-time.
not gonna hire you at 73?
No, you ain't.
I'm asking you, why?
You're not gonna
Age.
hire me at 73.
Why?
I couldn't
Age
pass the physical.
discrimination, you're not gonna do
But
that.
I don't say,
We're just gonna openly discriminate against someone, or are we gonna require them to pass
No.
the physical and pass the same certifications that our full-time guys are qualified to do? Which one is it?
Which one is it?
It's not age discrimination, ma'am, it's about being able to perform at the same
Why
level
is it
as these
now that
full-time
all of
people.
a sudden, that now, when we had, before the city, and the contract with the Effingham County went away, they were perfectly fine, everything about them, all right. Now, that things have changed, all of a sudden, why is the focus that they're not qualified, they're not this, they can't that?
You stood here and told us that the other department that you're boasting
Yes,
about
yes.
requires the same certification.
I'm
and
not
the same
boasting, I'm
training
giving you
hours.
information.
I understand, and I'm relaying right back to you what
Okay,
you
tell
said.
me.
They require the same certification and the same training hours. Why would we not do the same?
Well, then why is it that we've had this?
Do they have the same
Is it not-
certification? Can they pass the same physical? And do they have the same training hours? That's
The
my
only
question.
physical that
Yes,
has
I
to
have
be
the training
passed
hours.
is
You have
when
the
you.
same training
ma'am.
hours? You do not. We just
No,
discussed those
no,
training hours.
I got the same, well,
Well,
if
why
I don't
would
have
you-
the training hours, is because we didn't do no training. So I don't get no training
Nothing
hours.
wrong with it.
Hold on, come forward, sir.
Hold on, I've got a question, I wanna go back to training. Could you address this, because I'm still confused, we've got people that are retired,
Yes.
my husband's retired, I mean, I don't think he'd go in firefighting, but, he sits at home bored all day. And he's recently retired, he's driving me crazy, he's gotta figure that out, but I'm confused as to how you're providing all the training that our firemen are getting, or somehow our volunteers can't seem to get here to get the same training. I'm confused about this, so we do offer training, we're just not offering it at convenient hours, is that what we're saying?
Exactly.
Okay, let's go.
Every
Just
day,
Just
right?
state your name.
We have
and what
training
it is.
every day.
Alright.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm Steven. I've been a firefighter with Ringo for 2 years. As for the training, I know for myself, I talk to the volunteers, you know, like, we're gonna have training this time, or let's figure out a time, place, what we could do. I've done it several times, and I didn't get and answer why they wouldn't show up. Point blank. If during the day,
Training
Why
at
is it
7
not on
p.m. on
Tuesday
Monday
nights?
night, and you say, all right, volunteers, we're having it here, you're welcome to come. You need to come because you need this training, but you're saying that you put it out and you didn't get a response from the volunteers. Now, Gary may have done it during the day.
yeah,
Yeah.
But, the others may have not because they may be your age and have a full-time job.
Yeah.
I don't know, so, yeah.
But the point is that,
They didn't.
I just wanted to understand that that the training was available
Right.
to.
the training has been available.
Every Tuesday night you were there, Stephen?
Not every
Why do we
Tuesday, I'm
have
saying
it
for
every Tuesday
myself,
night?
my shift,
Why are
myself.
we required to have it on Tuesday night?
It's drill night.
This drill night.
That is
No,
the
no, no,
training
no, no,
night.
no,
It's
no.
always been drill
No, no.
night.
But there's training every single day.
There's training every day they can go to,
Yeah.
and if you.
Do you make it,
But
Stephen,
if we
you
have a
said,
full-time job, we can't.
Yeah.
Right,
maintain
we
our
talked
training.
about
But
that,
Tu-
but that was
Tuesday,
good.
Tuesday nights are, Tuesday night is our training night.
And it's
So-
been forever.
So it's been,
Well, that's
so
when
it's
you
been.
were full volunteer then,
Right,
right? That's
yeah.
when you were full volunteer, that's what they did because.
No, that's
No.
what these guys did up
We
until
started-
January.
we started
Up until
hiring.
January.
We
So-
started hiring for someone, it was Tuesday night.
Yeah, so it's been Tuesday
It's
night.
never been changed.
Right.
That's what my thought is.
Yeah.
When we start variation from the training, it should have been identified, when we should have been addressed the problems that were going on. If they weren't meeting, it should have been some data, paperwork put together, where if you didn't make, you had the opportunity to make it and you did not make it.
Right.
It should have been documented and forwarded to
Yeah.
the council and management,
Yeah.
where we have had that information, and we wouldn't be here tonight.
Right.
If we had that information,
But
and
then-
all it starts with leadership,
Yeah.
regardless of what, it starts with leadership, I don't
Yeah.
care what you say.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, Levi, I want to ask you a question, because I know that when the meeting was over, the last meeting was over, one of the things that you stated, because the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I want you guys to know that it didn't start here. Levi, you made a comment to me that this is not anything new, that this is something that has been talked about for a long time, about the volunteer program.
Yeah, right, and we knew that eventually it would go away,
Right.
and we started working toward it. But our concern was, once it gets closer, we would start facing people. We would sit down and start talking about how we're gonna do it, when we're gonna do it, put a time on it, when we're gonna do it, and address the issue on how we do it. Because everything needs to be
So I
done
think
decent
we're-
and in order.
Back to, we did not have a process in place to deactivate a volunteer program.
Pretty much.
And the long and short of it is, we heard a lot of feelings with the way that it was done.
Right.
And I think out of this workshop, we should come up with a process for future community programs and volunteer programs and how those will be deactivated. In my opinion, I don't think the volunteer program should come back, but that is my opinion, if you guys.
Well, what I wanna add is I've done some research, on it as well, you know, just asking people, that have phased out the volunteer program. But they didn't phase it out, it was more of a step process. But the process that they used, and again, this is just something that, you may know of, you guys may have heard, but there was a volunteer program that was moved to, basically when the National Guard is called. So you're still considered volunteer, but in the event of an emergency situation like anything, like a hurricane, like, you know, some major catastrophe, those volunteers were still volunteers. They weren't called in on regular calls, but they were basically in the event that something happened, those people were on the books as volunteers. And that's what some of the other counties and some cities throughout the United States does when the volunteer program goes away. And that's not, you know, and it can be different things, and I'll say this, one of the places that I talked about has a big state fair. They utilize volunteers, those volunteers during those state fairs, different things like that, but mainly it is when the National Guard is called in, that is there. You know, anytime the governor or anybody that's in control of that municipality calls for an emergency situation, those guys are called to come in on a volunteer program. That's one of the things that I've researched, that I've been told how volunteer programs were phased out, not all the way, but just to the point that they're still volunteers with, it's just kind of inactive until something major happens.
See, the one thing I think about this whole situation, we have meetings for everything. We had a meeting at the beginning of the year, Johnson come over there and had a meeting. Right, we ain't got nobody till the big boxes are full. Okay, I understand that, no promotions, no this, no that. Okay, and then all of a sudden along comes this letter that was certified to me after the amount of years I put in here naturally. Could have been all avoided. All they had to do was the chief, whoever, be a man and call a meeting. All right, guys, this is what, you might have got butthurt, but I'd rather went that way than the way it went.
Well, and can I tell y'all that I did do some research, because number one, it wasn't really our job to research the recommendation of the chief. I mean, and I went back and did the research. I pulled up the 76 counties.
Yeah, but
I pulled up the 76 fire
You got that sheet?
departments.
Yeah, that's what she told me.
Yeah, I pulled them up. I spent about Sunday afternoon doing this. I pulled up every one of them. Almost 40 of them have a population of less than 3,000. There is about a dozen of them that have a population of 6,500 or less. There is, another dozen or so that, are real large municipalities that look like they have some in outlying areas like Southside Chatham, but Southside is done away with their volunteer
yes,
program.
ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Effingham is doing away with their volunteer program.
That's ma'am.
They haven't hired any
They're not
volunteers
hiring
within
any
the
new
last 2
volunteers.
years.
I'm on Effingham volunteer.
Okay, so, and then there's a good many of them that are, and I'm gonna tell you some of them, the Savannah Volunteer Guards in Savannah, they only support the National Guard when they come out. If you call out the National Guard, they come with them.
Okay.
They also do work with scholarships and document storage. There was one of those that was actually called, and I listed it as a fire department, but it was the Fine Arts Fire Department in Warner Robins. And I Googled in everything I could on them, and all I could find was art shows, but I listed them as fire department.
They're also
there was-
volunteer.
There was
Yes.
two that were close to us in size. One was Skidway Island, which was 9,200, which is 3,000 below us, and another one which was 8,500, which is still 3,000 below us, which was probably us back in 2015 or 2016. But there was not one city out of all of them that was the same population as us. I looked, I spent my whole Sunday afternoon researching this. Now, I'm gonna follow up with some other stuff, because I was accused of not doing my research. I was asked who would respond in an accident. We've got a fire department at Goshen Road. You live at Goshen Hills.
Yeah,
So they're just as close.
yeah.
We talked about, we were told that there's issues, who's gonna do traffic control? We have police that do traffic control. EMS and the help with a medical emergency. Our police that are gonna respond within probably, Chief, if there's an accident at Fort Howard Road or somewhere in Richmond, how long does it take for your officers to get to it?
Average response time is 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay, do your officers know CPR? Okay, so there's an idea out there that we can't take care of our citizens was not right. And what I came to at the end of this was that, like we said, it was not handled well. It was not. We all agree with that. I would like to also add, I thought I had seen that letter, but I had not. The wording at the top of that letter was the same wording as the email that we got. But when I got home, I checked, we never saw that, because Brandy called me when we got home and she said, how did we let that get past us? And I said, I looked, I said, we never saw the letter, so I wanna say that we did not see the letter. But
Prior to it going out, we did not.
we did not, so, but we did know it was happening. But we all agreed that we knew it was coming to an end. And we know for a fact that doing away with the volunteer fire department allows us 2 more paid full-time people. Now, I've got a friend whose husband's the fire chief in another state, and, I told her, I said, this is just such a bad situation, and she told me they had just had to do the same thing, and, she said the biggest issue is we can't make volunteers train, we can't make them go on calls, and she said we had
Very
some
good.
really good guys when we needed someone who could get on the scene quickly, but as the town grew, so did the needs and the level of service. It was tough to let them go, but at the end of the day, it became a liability. Career firefighters work on the craft and train in some aspect daily. When you go months and years without attending trainings and working scenes, you become a liability. Not that y'all were doing that, it was, just their situation. And she said, we honored them with a thank you at, a big city event, and not one of them showed up. So.
Well, that's not us.
It's hard, and, when she was telling that, but because the reality is that, and I'm with Randy, I feel like, I've not seen anything to go against what the chief is decided to do. I don't agree with how it was done, but.
Well, if you don't agree how it was done, then, are you gonna make changes?
So I would like to see the outcome of this workshop be an actual policy for future deactivation of any type of community program or volunteer program.
Okay.
Something may come up in the future where we have a community program, I don't care if it's at the senior center, but it's a community program that is, being run by the city, and we need to deactivate it. We need to know what the process for that is. That's what I would like to see come out of this workshop.
And I don't know why Lou couldn't really have you guys out there, like if you're gonna go to the schools and work and you need extra help, you can give Gary and them a call and help y'all on some of those things, and so y'all can stay connected to the guys to some degree, but,
Well, there's
In-
still stuff,
in
there's still
emergencies.
stuff that we can do, and we've been doing it for years,
On calls.
on call, okay? Every
I mean,
time they call one out, we
The program
were
has
good.
already been deactivated.
Ma'am?
The program has already been deactivated.
Oh, it has?
I mean.
Yeah, the letter, the nice letter, you're done.
Oh.
Yeah, you're done.
The program has
But
been
see,
deactivated.
what you all don't realize, what we did behind the scenes either. We did all the PRs, we did all the schools, pay guys didn't do that,
they don't care.
and then all of a sudden now, you got to pay them to come in.
I'm gonna reject the comment that they don't care. Our paid guys absolutely do care. I've had lots of
I'm
conversations.
not talking about the
with
paid
everyone.
guys, I'm talking about city
That's what he
council.
said. We care. We
Mhm.
wouldn't be here if we didn't care, ma'am.
No, I don't think so. Because this is just another check the box. We really didn't come here to offer them anything except a process to let people go. So that's what we're getting out of this workshop. Okay, that's it.
So, I guess no matter what I say or anybody else has to say about it, or, are you saying we're done? I mean, if we're done, we're done.
What's your opinion, Ben?
Well, I was looking up at the mandatory retirement age for firefighters. And if you were a federal fire, this is all I could find here while I was listening to
That was
everyone
federal.
speak, is 57. For volunteers, there isn't one. But it does say that because the age is a big determining factor for volunteers because of the physical demands of the job. Whether
Correct.
you're going in the building, or you're at the engine monitoring the pressures in the water flow and all of that,
Mhm.
or you're just outside directing traffic at an accident.
I agree.
So,
But you have nothing in writing that says that for a
no, and there's
volunteer.
nothing in the
There's nothing-
statutes that
nothing in
says
there.
there is a mandatory retirement age for volunteers.
That's correct.
Just for
So as far as
federal
as far as I'm concerned, since there's not written like that, that's
Right.
discrimination
So that's
against
not-
me.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, yeah, if that was the case, that's
And,
not.
but, I think the firefighters do have standards they have to maintain, the active duty, full-time guys, and they have to maintain those.
Well, physical abilities, and,
But, so,
I'm gonna tell you, I drive people crazy with my research, but,
Hey, I've been researching too, right with you.
hold on.
I agree with what you said, Gary, the first night y'all came here, the process was done wrong, but I believe the way, what Ms. Riley said, that the city is growing and everything, and we knew that the volunteer system was gonna phase out over time. And it may be that time is now, but we may have done like Mr. Exley said, phase it out over time, but
Yeah,
it's
I bet.
already a done deal, and so.
That'd be fine with me.
Kinda hard to go back,
Well, you can go back because this whole thing was a plot. It was a lie to our public, cause he put it out there. So as far as the public knows, unless I'm on here now, okay.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
on
Nobody said that
Facebook.
it was a plot.
I'm telling you, you are letting your citizens down by getting rid of this. Now, you talked about the police department responding. We did work for them, traffic control, so they didn't have to do it. And if they had another call, they could leave. EMS loves us because we help them out, drive the ambulance in, riding with the patient. You're taking away a lot of free stuff, that you would say. It wasn't costing you all a dime.
You know,
I also found one more thing, Levi, I was gonna tell you about research.
So you guys weren't getting paid?
Well, they get a stipend if they met.
We get a stipend at the end of the
Or
year.
if we went to the thing, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
But we had to make a percentage of calls and drills
the state,
to get that, yes ma'am.
the state of Tennessee has mandatory volunteer, volunteer firemen in the state of Tennessee. Cause when I was Googling all this came up. They have mandatory physical abilities that their volunteers have to have. But anyway, this is what they sent out to all of the fire departments in their state. Lack of training can also be used in a federal lawsuit based on deliberate indifference or failure to train when firefighters' actions result in injuries to or death to a member of the public or other firefighters. Liability under federal law is not limited. Governing bodies and fire departments in these counties should not ignore your liability under federal law. So federal law mandates that we make sure, whether we do it or not, or we have it in writing, they mandate, the federal law mandates that we be responsible, so if we're not trained, the city's liable, and
So
that's
liability.
liability, so, and like I say, I know y'all are on the debate Tuesday night training, but the two people that are responding, Scott, are you retired? Okay, so y'all could have come to daytime training, and I know Keith's retired.
Well, I can't make daytime training every time. Ma'am, I asked for one Tuesday night for these guys to do a drill with us, one Tuesday night. Fires happen during the nighttime too, not just daytime. I asked the chief that, got nowhere.
Levi, I'm just contemplating here. We knew it was coming. We've had a program where we had, fire department goes out, activities in the community. I heard somebody say back to school, going out to the school, doing something.
We've done everything.
There always used to be a request. We bought like a little house. And you remember that house?
You
fix
got
it
that,
out,
don't you, Lynn?
Yeah, the county has one.
and you set it up, no, we had the city. And you set it up to go out and demonstrate fires with kids and stuff like that.
Oh, they got that
church,
now.
And
They got it
activities
now.
and stuff like that. And that was a big program in the community. And,
Yes.
and in phasing out, that would be a good thing for volunteers. These community outreach programs with the churches, the schools. Now, the funding, I hadn't talked to Lou, I know Roger looking at the funding, looking at the liability. This is a lot of stuff that you have to do first, and this should have been done in the plan, for as I'm concerned. But
But there's no
I
process
still
in
see
place
there
to do
is a
that.
need, and I think that it's something workable for these retired, volunteers who still want to be active in their community, in their city.
So there's lots of programs that they can volunteer for. I don't think that we bring back a
I
program
think
that
that,
can be
but you're not
activated.
getting what I'm saying, I'm thinking, coming from the city
Mhm.
as a part of the fire department, to the public, to the churches, to the community, that says a whole lot. It says a lot more than what somebody else might have organized. This is a reflection definitely make that to the community.
Well, we can have a volunteer, that it's no pay.
I think that it's not a volunteer fire
Is it-
department, I
And-
think you're
and-
talking
and-
about a volunteer
And that's what I'm
program.
saying, that's another
That's
discussion.
a whole
Yeah.
other
That these
program.
guys might have been willing to work with, but
Right.
we didn't ask you.
Is this what it's all about because of the stipend I get now, do you?
No, I think it's a whole
And
nother.
see, that's what I'm trying to
No,
say.
the stipend is, no.
Well, no, I was just curious.
I think it's a whole nother program, it's not a volunteer firefighter program,
Well,
you're talking about two different things, you're talking about a volunteer community program that works in conjunction with the fire department, and that's a whole nother thing.
And that's what I'm saying, but if we sat down, we might could have got there, because do we know they weren't willing to do that?
Well, again,
We've been
no
doing,
process to deactivate a
we've been doing it
volunteer
for
firefighter.
a long
How
time.
about
Okay, let me speak.
Special
No
needs,
process,
Let me say.
No process.
The volunteer, as far as going to the PRs, was at almost dead. And Luke and Vouch, that, we brought up the Special Needs Olympics, that we were going back and forth to. The cookouts up here at Crossroads, we were cooking hot dogs and hamburgers, doing everything possible, going into school. We were doing this, it was already set in place. So, I mean, what's missing? I mean, somebody's not being honest with somebody here. Gary and I were making the calls, running, middle of the night. There were Tuesday night drills, and they stopped because it was more feasible for them to do it during the day. We can't make it during the day all the time. Gary and I made it a couple times. So that's where that fell apart. Chief Reed was in doing his school. You know, we'd go to him and talk to him about different issues. He was tied up with school. Where did we fall apart? I was nominated Hero of the Quarter, and 2 weeks later, I get a letter, peace out. Explain that.
So why did, Scott, why did y'all know that this was going to, that y'all were gonna end up doing away with volunteer fire department?
It's always been because the volunteer system, because, like Mayor said, you know, you're not, that guy, Bond, is not here anymore. These kids, I hate to say it, but it's not like when we grew up.
Right.
It's
Right,
not,
they have
it's
the
not,
people in place.
yeah, it's not there no more, cause your dad did it, your brother did it, your uncle did it.
Well, but the bottom line is too, is we're in a society where nobody wants to volunteer anymore. 'Cause
Right.
I don't care where you're at, whether it's
It's
school,
hard.
church, or anywhere else, nobody's wanting to volunteer.
It's hard. It's hard to get, when I went out there and went with Chief to go get money for the Special Olympics, that was graciously donated, you know. It's a lot of behind the scenes that I did for the Special Olympics. Because they're like the redheaded stepchild children, because they only get so much money from the school system. So we count on the public to.
Did the boot drive.
We did the boot drives, that died down because, you know, someone wanted to go hunting or whatever, because we tried to do it in the cooler months. And then it became, well, you're gonna get hit on 21. Well, those were the ones that didn't wanna do it, was the excuse. If you wanted to do it, you pay attention to the light and you worked the light. And we brought in good money, $8,000-9,000, and we were able to help the Boys Home, Special Olympics, F&M Navigators. We each gave them about $1,200 apiece. So we were there.
That should continue,
We were there.
right.
And going on these fire calls, as we get older, Gary can run the heck out of a pump. I've changed these guys' packs, gave them a bottle of water. When they come out of fire, they don't know what's up or down because it's so hot and tired. That the support is there to get them out of the house, get them refreshed, so they could go back in and finish. That's what our job was. Not necessarily having to go in and fight a fire, because I can drag a hose on the outside, pack it up, load it up, because these guys are tired. You know, some of the pay guys have come in on a day off because we had that 4th Street fire. You don't have enough people. I don't care if you have 4 people on the truck, you got 2 people coming from here, 1 person from here, 15 minutes, they're exhausted. And then they gotta go back in and overhaul. So having that support on the outside is very important. Cause then we gotta come back to the station and wash hands.
I see the value in everything that you're saying, volunteers and hire another staff member.
So, to that point, if they only get a stipend, what money are you gaining from letting them go
Do they drive a vehicle?
to hire two people?
That costs money.
Yeah, so where,
Do we
what
pay
else
for
are
I'm
you
insurance?
saying,
saying?
if you're letting go
That
of them,
costs
what
money.
money are you gaining
We-
from letting them go?
We
I wanna
drive
know
the vehicles
the
when a
amount.
call comes in.
Right, but
Okay.
we still pay
On two
insurance on
vehicles.
those. Huh?
Oh, I think that's kind
The
of
rest of
petty.
us have our own vehicle.
What,
I'm just saying there's money going out.
what, where? They get a stipend, they get bunkered here maybe every 5 years. The truck, if you don't want them to have the truck, if they don't have to have the truck, they'll pay their own darn gas.
We've
Service
also
to the,
established
to
that-
the
that
city. So what money are
There's
you
liability
collecting?
involved as well, and y'all, I mean, there is.
Oh, now it's like,
There's
before it
both.
was, you're gonna be able to hire more people, now it's liability.
It's not, it's both. I'm not saying one or the other, I'm telling you both.
So they're more liable than the paid firefighters are liable if they make an error or a mistake or something? I'm not following you.
Their training, certification.
And their training's supposed to be.
And physical requirements
Their
are
training is
held to a
supposed to be
different
the
standard
same.
than theirs.
Their training, which hasn't been the same, is supposed to be the same.
Lou, can you add to that piece from a,
This
you
is
know,
a circle.
from a functional expert standpoint, when we start talking about liability and things like that, I don't want.
I appreciate y'all's time, I'm done. That was unnecessary.
Yeah, that tells me right there.
Because
What I
basically,
said is true.
basically, she just said, this is a circle. This
We're
is,
done.
right here, right here, I bleed this place for free. And I tried to hold my compassion. But this man did 36 years. 36 years. Older than some of these guys back here. Leaving our families. Dinner time. You don't have a clue what we've done. You appreciate us, and I thank y'all. But you don't have a clue what we have done. The blood, the sweat, the tears, holding dead people, having good times. You don't understand the compassion, the drive, and the love for it, because that's not a true volunteer if you don't feel that. And if I can walk away with my head up, damn it, I'll live.
I'm here to Keith Jervis. I've got over 17 years in Rankin, and now with Effingham County Volunteers, since Rankin did the road theirs. I'm one of the volunteers that I had a full-time job until mid-March. I worked every day. My territory was from Florida to Windsor, North Carolina. I covered the whole IT infrastructure for large energy companies. If something happened in Florida, gas pipeline didn't flow gas, the airport of Orlando did not get gas. So there's times that I could not respond to a call because of my duty to the company. I retired in March. 43.5 years is enough. So that's how come I didn't respond to every call.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. You
I have
got
my
a
own-
job, that's the first thing.
I have
you
my
know.
own personal vehicle, that anytime there was a call, I know Gary and Scott were going in theirs because they had city vehicles. So they're going, their gas to pay for. I monitor the radio and see if they needed more help. If they did, I needed that direction. If it was a structure fire, if they took engines out of the bay, I would come here to the station. Whenever Greg Smith's house blew up, we had trucks go from station 2, or now it's the old station 4, this station here. Me and Gary came up to this station and manned the station for the city, because there's nobody here. But all these other calls, you know, the rule is 2 people in and a medical call. If you got 2 people going and a truck going, there's no reason for me to go to that medical call, because we have enough people there. I'll just stay available for whatever comes next. And never before with the county, if something happened in Goshen Hills, me and Gary, the first ones there. Never I was at church. What's that?
You're with the county now?
I'm with the county now.
Okay.
Never, before the county took over, me and Gary were first on scene at Goshen Hills. I've been in First Baptist Church for many years. I've been there many a time on medical calls. I was the first one on scene before the truck or EMS got there. So I assessed the patient, whatever we needed. The church got AEDs, so we do have AEDs there. But I was there then, just like that. Didn't work for a crew, wait for a crew, but they have response. But just because 2 people went, doesn't mean the others weren't available. If they're needed, then we'll move. My son, he's going to county training now. He operated off of Ebenezer till it went away. So he go to Ebenezer, he responded to many fire calls for the Ebenezer station before the county took it. And then he's in Ramsey Landing. That's a long way from Ramsey Landing to here, just to say you're not needed.
Right.
If he's in the city and something happens, he would respond.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no reason to go from Ramsey Landing to here and you're not needed. So that's how come we didn't run as many calls as Gary and Scott.
Right.
Cause it cost us money. I have a '05 F-150.
Yeah.
It doesn't get real good gas mileage. And I don't get any reimbursement. Because of my work schedule, I don't get a stipend.
Yes, sir.
And I've had cancer twice.
Yes.
So, and I'm still doing this. And I'm doing with the county. But thank you for your time.
We appreciate you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
My name's Walter Wright, currently part-time at the City of Lincoln. To kind of give you a quick rundown, I've got 20 years in fire service. Been assistant director and director for the county. Left there in 2011, restarted the fire full-time, 24 hours here. I work for other places now, but y'all want to talk about numbers and liability. We're very close. When I was EMA director and deputy, we used to come here and have the meetings with y'all. And I think Mr. Scott was on the chair back then, but, one thing I used to always say, we're 12 to 15 years behind the city of Fuller. You know, talk about who we have now. We have 4 per shift. When you look at our population versus Fuller, we're now sitting about 15 years behind. 15 years ago, Fuller was running 3 trucks, 2 engines, and a ladder, all with 4 people. 12 people with the same population that we have. We're behind time. And that's something y'all need to start looking about for liability. And Lou can tell you this, when you start dealing with the fire department, it's not a cut dry. It's like an onion, it's a lot of layers. First of all, you have the state. State says you gotta have 4 firefighters, a station that's controlled climate, and an engine with, you know, certain GPM pump and all that, to be a certified firefighter. That's the basic bottom. Then you got ISO. And ISO is gonna come in there and they're gonna tell you, you gotta have this, all this crap. Well, it should say this is recommendations. You know, ISO is controlled by the insurance companies. So they don't want you to be a class 1. They want you to be that upper. So you do your best to get that class 1, like we have. We're at a 2 now, which is awesome. Then you have NFPA. NFPA is like the ceiling. They come up with all this crap that you gotta have. Half of it don't make sense. But the problem with NFPA is you have a fatality or an injury, who will be coming in here to do an investigation? You have an idea? OSHA. OSHA doesn't have a policy on the fire service, but they will follow NFPA rules. Because they don't have it. 1710 of the NFPA says 15 people on the fire scene. Currently we have 2 trucks with 2 men each, or firefighters each. There's 4. If Lou shows up, there's 5. Our auto aid agreement with the county is 2 trucks, 3 people. So, what number are we at? 8. We don't have that number, but you can fight fire. I fought fire with less people than that. But if something happens, so liability comes back on the city. So, understand getting rid of the volunteers. We all knew it was gonna go away, sooner or later. We need to get this department up where it needs to be. And, you know, that's the numbers that you're having to play with. There's a whole lot of NFPA rules and, or standards.
So are you saying even the county's not up to standards?
No, most departments will not run NFPA standards because of money. You go look at New York City, which is a class 1 ISO, City of Savannah, they have it because their stations are dense and they have full 4-man trucks. We don't have that. Actually, in New York runs 5 and 6 man trucks, just to have extra personnel. So, we need to get the people. I know there's a lot of budgetary problems that go along with that, but we really need right now 12 people per shift.
We have how many per
4.
shift now?
full.
So we meet state requirements and ISO requirements, we are not meeting NFPA.
Well-
And should there be a death, OSHA is the one that investigates, and they look for 15 on the safety.
15 for a small, they call small risk, 25 or 27 for medium, and 47 for high risk. So medium risk is a strip mall, you know, restaurant, stuff like that.
It's a warehouse.
Warehouse would be high risk.
High risk.
So, right now, with the county, what they have on shift, and what we have on shift, we will never be able to do a medium to high risk for NFPA. But you need to be as close as there as possible.
So you're part-time with
Here we're drinking,
everyone?
Part-time.
correct? Yeah, I work for the railroad full-time, I'm not leaving that to come work here.
Yeah, you got that right.
So,
Good job.
you know,
I understand.
it's a lot you need to look into. I mean, like I said, we understood the volunteers were going away, but two things that those guys did provide us was, or one thing was that on-scene outside support. You know, I understand y'all got the program going now, it is what it is, but we need to make up for that. You know, y'all talk about safety, our safety's not there right now.
We've got, even, I think I told Chief early last year, about your numbers, and looking at population, that's what we need to be doing, looking at population, and he did
Yeah.
mention warehouse and stuff like that, we're going into warehouses, big boxes, that's where, that gives you your number, is where you required to be at.
And like I said, Fuller, that's, when I was EMA director, or deputy director and director, we always pretty much put Lincoln as 12, 15 years behind Fuller. You look at the population, we're really about 50. Like I said, at 15 years ago, that's what they were running. Can't remember exactly what year after that, they added 2 more trucks, 2 more stations. So I mean, one of our other problems here is we had an annex like Fuller has. So that's kind of kept our growth down.
Well, we have another truck coming and fire station.
Right, but you gotta have people
Yes.
Right,
in those.
exactly.
We can't just keep doing it with 4.
Well, we've got to look, and there's just, I really got angry the other night when somebody said this city's in a mess. Well, it is, it's 20 years worth of mess.
Yeah.
What we're dealing with right now is 20 years worth of mess. And, you know, but I will tell you this, that as these things come up, we're going at them as hard as we can to figure out what the answers are gonna be. I've been here 5 months, Gary. I've not been here 20 years, okay?
We've got, you're telling me that there's not a city around here that's not behind, and not struggling with change. It's gonna happen. So
Everybody
the
is.
bottom line is, public safety is completely different from any other department we have in this city.
Right.
They got the police department. The police department should have a certain number of officers based on the population and the density, how these departments and everything is built in here. And plus the fire department, same thing. It's different from everything else. And we're behind.
Yeah.
And guess what? When we start putting in a whole bunch, we're gonna be behind.
Well,
After we put that in the next year, because it's a game of growth and catch up.
It is.
and that transparency portal there is the list we're making. We're identifying the problems and trying to attack them as fast and hard as we can. That, you know, picket fences has been a priority, those people could be in danger over there. And that list is long. How long is our list, Terry? And, 2 pages long. But that's just identifying the things we need to be working on because of growth and stuff.
And the whole county is about 30 years behind the transportation.
We're working on that, that's on the list.
Yeah.
Did you have something to say, sir?
I'm debating.
Come on, come on up. And we've probably got about another 5 minutes with this and then we'll move on.
Seth Upchurch, I'm the C-shift lead for the fire department. I was talking about a lot of training and about the volunteers not receiving their training. We really never had a formal training program. We don't have a training captain. We don't have officers, lieutenants, whatever. We don't have none of that. So it was left up to the shift leads to come up with the training, and if volunteers showed up, trained. So you gotta look at it from my perspective. I'm paid the same as my fellow firefighters, but I've got to come in, I've gotta think the training, I've got to, you know, form all this up and do my daily duties. And it's a lot added on. So sometimes we didn't get training done on Tuesday nights. When I first started here 6 years ago, we had training on Tuesday nights, and it kind of just slowly just started going away. We had volunteer captain. He somewhat did some of the training. He formulated and stuff like that, give it to the shift leads. That lasted for a little bit. Bottom line is, we don't have the personnel to handle that on a daily basis. So it's, you know, you're just dependent on me to volunteer my time basically to do it and not get paid for it. You know, I'm a fire instructor 1, I'm a fire officer 2, I'm volunteering that to better the department because I care. A, I love this job, okay? I like taking care of people, helping people, so I do this because I wanna be here to do it, okay? I've got a business I do on the side, so I don't have to have this, I do it because I love it. So, this is some things that I've been thinking about as far as the department goes, so that's all I have to say.
What was your name again?
It's Savvy Church.
And so, say again exactly what you do, your second shift.
I'm C shift lead.
Okay.
C shift.
C shift.
Well, and there are gonna be, just like we did for the fire department, or they did, you know, have a captain, and we are gonna do that, because that needs to be done in the fire department. We was working on that.
I know,
He's been
I understand.
fighting for
Right.
that.
I know.
And so, it's coming, you know, people think everything happens in the city can happen very quickly, it doesn't do that.
Not here.
You know, we're trying, but it doesn't do that.
I understand. I just wanted just that y'all hear my thoughts on it.
I appreciate it.
And, just that, I really did use the volunteers when we had them, and for the record, I thought that, and I talked to the chief about it, other people have talked to the chief about it, that I knew we were going away from the volunteers. I was hoping to keep, you know, the ones on for as long as they wanted to be here, cause they helped out. Gary can pump a truck. If I get on scene, I've gotta get out of the truck, I've gotta establish command, I got somebody pulling the line off the truck, you know, and so I got all this stuff going on. If Gary's there, he'll pump the truck for me. I've gotta run command and pump the truck. Scott's helped out many times on scene, so when I found out that they were leaving, I was kinda heartbroken, sick at the time, thinking, you know, how it went down. But I'm also thinking that the people that I'm losing, because I did depend on them, and they did help. So, but I knew it was ending. I knew the program was going away. It slowly, we started losing people through the years, but I was hoping it wouldn't end like this. So,
Thank you for sharing that.
you're welcome.
One thing, y'all talk about, what are you gonna do with them? There's programs out there, CERT, which is through your EMA, volunteer group, that's kinda what y'all were talking about, how they respond on natural emergencies. There's also fire auxiliary. Fire auxiliary is when you have a big structure fire, they have an apparatus, some type of truck that can come out, it's got coolers, water, you know, snacks and stuff to help rehab firefighters. Cause when you're in a fire for, you know, any length of time, it exhausts you.
Right.
And so you need that. So there's other programs out there, just, you know, don't
We
just,
may implement that.
yeah, just don't throw them away.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'll do one more quote. This is from the ISO. We have a ISO rating of 2. Okay. I wrote this down. With an ISO rating of 2, outstanding response times, which we do, well qualified volunteer firefighters. Qualified, yeah. makes the Lincoln Fire Department second to none. That's for the ISO. Now, there might be a chance that if we're not here, your ISO could drop down to .5.
And again, I appreciate y'all listening to us. The last thing I have to say is, it's hard to get a firefighter, because Lincoln is not like Atlanta. This is a starting point and an ending point. And too bad it's like that, because eventually, you know, I wish we had the money and y'all had 25 fighters over there. You know, who can do that? We can't, obviously. But these guys are some of them are gonna move on. And what are you gonna do? Takes a lot to get fired. Someone comes over here, and then they're the right person, y'all have that thing you have to run through with them to get them hired. And I think you shoot yourself in the foot. No, Gary and I aren't God. Sometimes we probably carry the work of, but, you know, that's all I have to say.
Gary, thank you. Does anybody else have anything that they wanna say?
And one more thing, staff come up with, a thing called CERT, Citizen Emergency
Yeah.
Response. That's what we thought.
We're gonna discuss that.
Chatham County does that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we're gonna look into that.
Yeah, we're gonna look
Spirited
into it.
information.
Okay.
Maybe we can recreate, not be volunteer fire, but recreate what they.
I guess everybody's pretty much done smoking. Somebody up there, I think we already made a commitment, you don't want us. Is this something that's gonna be, voted on by you all, or how's this gonna work?
No, I think it needs to be a discussion. I think especially with, all the, you know, the alternate things that you guys talked about. I think it's something that we, you know, we need to talk about, obviously. So I'm open to having a conversation with these guys.
Gary, we can't take a vote on it right now.
No.
Unless it becomes.
I'm not asking for a vote, but I've been around here so long. You remember Dave Bacon? He gave out the scrapbooks. It ain't the first time with city council, believe me. We fought with him in I think it was '97 for a new fire station. So, anyway, I just don't want y'all to go back, you know, and say, well, okay, that's it. Will this be brought up in a general meeting, or how is it gonna work?
You know, I don't know. I think we need to talk about that. I think what Brandy said is you know, the program has been, has kind of been extinguished.
Yeah,
right
I
now.
understand.
But, you know, with the additional things that, you know, you all brought up and
I think
things
there's
that.
opportunity to
Opportunities
discuss
for volunteer
a
type
volunteer
stuff.
type program that's not necessarily a
Yeah.
volunteer firefighter responding to calls in that capacity. There's opportunities to create something,
Like the auxiliary.
but it would be a new
service.
program.
Or those type of things, and I think that those are things that we need to look at, to, you know, maybe make a better decision, on the career.
But as far as us coming back as volunteers and running calls, that's pretty much gone, is that what you're telling me?
Well, that was already, that was established. So anything that we do moving forward will be us talking and having a recommendation. That's because the other side is already established. I mean, you know, our staff made that call. They did let us know they had the information to back it up. We just have to get together now, and that's why we had the workshop. The workshop was to discuss, what we needed to do.
But that's not really telling me or the other guys, and the people also, at what point in the letter does it, and you know that was all, excuse me, that was a vision, so that don't have nothing to do with it.
Right.
Okay, there had to be something else that happened, and nobody wants to own up to it, for some reason.
So, I can't speculate the motive or the mystery around what you think, what else might have happened to lead up to that letter.
I could.
But
I
I can't.
Well, I know
But
that.
what we can say,
You know,
What we can say is that
Well,
there has
somebody either.
been no dispute since the beginning of these conversations that this program was
It either had to come
going
from the
away.
chief or had to come from the town manager, that's where it comes from.
I'm not gonna speculate. What we can say is that there's been no dispute from your side or our side that this program was going to go away and everyone knew that. That's not in dispute.
Yeah, it's not dispute, no, I
The-
agree.
The issue is how it was done. That's what's been
Absolutely.
said to us multiple times.
Okay,
Well,
So that program has ended.
okay.
Did it end incorrectly?
Okay.
Probably, but it's still done.
Okay.
The next course of action would be, is there an opportunity for some great community program to come out from this and look for volunteers of your caliber and Scott's caliber
Okay.
to continue to support the city, but will it be going on firefighting calls as a volunteer firefighter? The answer to that, I believe, is no. It would not be in that capacity.
Well, my next question is, if you all talk about everything that we talked about here, to implement this and that, who's being held accountable for what happened with me? Who is accountable for it? You?
So personnel issues are discussed privately with personnel, and those issues have been discussed. So that would not be made public. For any personnel issues with regard to how.
Oh, I understand that completely, but somebody has to take responsibility for what they did.
we, and we have had, Gary, we have had those conversations.
Discussed those personnel issues.
Those
All
things.
I'm asking you guys is to do the right thing. Please do the right thing. Please.
Yes, sir.
It's been fun.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
You
guys.
remember the blue shirt said, what did it say on it you gave me?
Will they come with?
The Rankin way.
Yeah, this is not the Rankin way. No,
No, it's not.
it's not. Thank you.
Scott, I wanna talk to you for a second, in private.
Want a witness?
You in trouble.
Yeah, let's take a 5-minute
Yeah,
break,
let's.
everybody take a break. Anybody want a piece of chocolate or some Cheez-Its?
I know you like writing stuff down, research. That's your response to fire.
She actually worked it out in but they did serve lots, and you said that.
I know Kate, you know.
What is it, your turn now?
Yes.
Oh, you got fees, don't you?
I talked to her when. No, Ryan, probably, Dan Davis.
You better get it all out.
I mean, serious.
All out.
Jesus. I should've gone first.
Oh, let's move this to the next,
I mean, I lived here.
the next,
And I'll move
we'll
back.
have another workshop. Get with Terry and Jody on the day of the next workshop.
No.
We're gonna just pass this.
No. If not, I'm gonna start, if so, I'm gonna forward every phone call to you.
It's the threat.
Here's something to take care of.
See, you're upset because you spent too much money.
Exactly, on Amazon over there.
Yeah.
You told me.
You could hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was-
Works really good, but, and then what Scott said about, the other firefighter about here and her training office. Things are gonna change, yeah, we could just, Brandy or Michelle said, change.
I'm serious. That's all I can say the whole time.
We appreciate everything you said. Nothing young personally, it's just.
I'm looking forward to hear what changes and.
Hopefully we have something, it ain't gonna be next week.
Well, that's fine. No, I don't expect you to have to all meet with
Since I've been on
This is
council, that's
women
one
eating
thing I
chocolate,
learned
you
here.
better stay away from over here.
Yeah.
The longer you went, the more I was eating.
See, really.
It wasn't helping the figure. Well, I like the dark chocolate, but I'll start saving you all those, cause that's like the, you can listen, that's like the airhead nerve. I eat every one but the yellow, so I have a whole jar of yellow as well. I can't do it. Boy.
Yeah, that's.
Y'all ain't cutting yet, you guys are cutting that for you. Like that already.
Just the materials wrong. And you can tell that I ain't missing out.
Yeah, it's still. We were literally approaching New York on that long flight from, Korea and just.
Did you ever see the movie,
Can't figure out who's that phone on his tires.
he said, I got 3 words for you. Fast food lunch.
I'm not eating on that, I need to go walk.
Oh, goodness. All right, guys, it's been 8 minutes.
Sir? No, it's not bad. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, the whole bag of them.
All right, I'm gonna move.
All right, let's go. Shannon.
We got
Oh, all right.
We got chew on.
Wow,
Let's go, Shannon.
I can't stay with, where I'm at and spread my stuff
Get
out.
up here.
Well, I need to spread my stuff
Go
out.
All
ahead,
right,
please.
spread your stuff out.
Okay. So,
Ooh,
the first 2 pages of your packet, I'll put it right there, yeah. So the first 2 pages, I've got it broken down by what the options that we're offering, what our current fees are, what Effingham's fees are, and any notes that I have. The third page is your current, just the current, schedule of your sports and what the prices are. The next thing is our rental agreement with what our current prices are. Yes, it's in your packet, I put it up there,
I don't have a factor.
somebody else can take it.
Here, I got it. Kevin took your stuff, she's got it.
Oh,
Hey.
I was gonna say, I got this one.
She's got one now.
And then I put the rental fees what just got sent out to me from Jeffrey, and then also the fees that I used to use. So just to have some comparisons. The main thing that's important is the front 2 pages, so that we can look at what we currently have versus what we need. Because looking at some of these things, especially in the sports, we're a little off with our fees. So whatever page you guys wanna start on, either the rental or the sports, y'all tell me.
Can we just start with the first thing up here with the options, fees?
The donations?
Well, yeah, donations.
Okay,
Straight.
so, the donations, I just had it in there because it was, part of if we get something, the code in it. So skip down to the special fee, $5. So I've been talking to Whitney about that. It's something that we used to do, and, there's a special revenue fund, and she's gonna look into it if you guys are approval of it. But what happens with it is, say, registration $75 for a child. $70 of that will go into the general fund. $5 would be kept in a special revenue fund, and that money would only be spent on recreation. So it's kind of like a checking account that if,
It's a savings.
like last night, where we knew, we're gonna need more football equipment than we anticipated, we have a fund account that we can pull out of without having to worry about, being short.
Right, I like that.
So, but she, had asked me, will council restrict for recreation use only? And that's, we had our ordinance in place that said that money can only be used in recreation, cause that's where it was collected at.
Yeah,
That's easy to do.
yeah.
But also, let me tell you this, sweetheart, I was told, Levi can correct me if I'm wrong, but Reese had told me in the past that, what's the plant over there, the big plant, courthouse, that they would give money for uniforms for,
They were doing like $10,000.
Yeah.
When I was on, that's what they
as
were
a
doing. They
donation
were
to the
donating
city.
that.
Okay, well, when we get down to sponsors, I'll.
Okay, we need to
because-
check on that.
Okay, all right. Camps, what I've always done is if Kevin comes out and he wants to hold a camp, either the thought is if they do a 70-30, or if, say, like, the British soccer camp comes in, they give us $10 a child for the camp. What Effingham just passed is they're just charging $50 a day, period.
Probably because they don't know what that count would be.
Right,
Nobody's gonna go out and count the kids, so that might be why they have a flat fee.
Yeah,
I don't
well,
know.
Would it be
I've
better
always,
to go to a flat fee?
I kinda like the $10, because you've got those people like the British soccer camps and all them that approach us about them, and they come in here and sometimes they can get 60, 70 kids, and they're making $100 a child. So here they're just benefiting off of us that, whereas at least we could say, we're gonna charge you $10 a child,
Yeah,
for the use of the facility.
that would streamline it if you did $10 a child, or you could do based off of, cause most of those camps know how many kids is coming, cause they've got sign-ups on it.
Right.
So I mean, if you wanted a flat rate, if you ever decided that, you could do, 0 to 25 kids, X, 0 maybe 25 to 50.
Well, that's up to you guys.
No, I know, I want you to come up with that, I was just giving.
I'm confused as to why we're looking at this. Like, why are we not just giving us a sheet of this is what our fees are and we approve it?
Because we need to discuss.
We
this
need to discuss
before
some of them, and
I
I'll
have
get,
no idea what's right or wrong. Just
well,
so
that's
you know,
why
'cause
I'm
just sitting here and
giving suggestions.
Yeah, this is good stuff though, to learn what goes on in the rec department.
Right.
Right.
The next one is the coaches discount, which is, we're giving the $40, currently, Effingham gives none. It's given on rec desk once the equipment and the evaluations are returned, so it's a win-win for us because it makes the coaches turn in their evaluations, it helps us for the next season, and it makes the coaches get the equipment back. they're also using it. I mean, from baseball season where we get it, you know, I had a guy come in today and was like, hey, is my credit on there? So they appreciate it.
Yeah.
Which
So
is,
do they get hat and shirt and things like that?
they still get their hat and shirt for the season, you know,
Okay.
but we give them the $40 on their account. You
Okay.
know, we're not handing them cash, we're
Right.
just giving them a
It's
credit on
credit
their
on their
account.
account.
Correct,
Okay, now we
correct.
got
Maintenance fee, that's, when I got here, it was $175. This is for the field prep, and in my opinion, it should be a cost per field per occurrence. Because what's happening is, you know, you get out there and say somebody wants to come out and they wanna rent 2 fields, and we're charging them $175 to prep the 2 fields. But then you've got, you know, another organization that comes out and says, I need all 8 fields, and we're only charging $175. And then when you've got these weekend tournaments, you know, these guys are out there just steady chalking, steady moving, steady chalking, you know. So, my thought was like $25 or $20 or $25 per field, just to cover the cost of the chalk and, you know, painting the bases and all that kind of stuff.
Now, that's,
But is that not included in your fee that you charge for the initial,
this is in addition.
this is an addition,
Correct.
so it would be that per field, just per term, so.
That's up to you guys. I mean,
Wait, we're only
No.
charging,
no,
yeah, Kevin, you're the baseball dude.
Yeah, that wouldn't be per field, per.
no, that
That's what you're
175
saying.
is
That's-
just a
you
flat
get one
fee.
field, it's
I feel like we need to go to 20 or 25 per field.
Yeah.
You know, because it's not fair if Levi wants to come out and just get 2 fields, that he's paying the 175, but Brandy comes out and she gets all 8 fields and she's paying the 175.
No,
That's
Let's
right.
go
no,
back per
I
field.
think it's a per field.
Yeah.
It needs
It's
to
gotta
be
be
a
a
per
per
field.
field.
Right.
But, you know, when you put this
25
out,
and up?
well, it covers the
Go
material.
175.
Yeah.
It covers the material and the employee?
Yeah, because remember, they are paying, they're paying us for the tournament, they're paying us for the use of the field. So
Right.
anywhere
This
else.
is just like
That's
a
what I-
materials charge then, is what you're saying.
Yeah, anywhere
Okay.
else you go, that dollar amount is included into what they pay for the tournament.
I see.
You don't wanna price yourself out of tournaments, because that's where we can make a lot of money.
Right.
And not just us, but bringing people to our city.
City, yeah.
So I like the idea, now that it's explained, the $25
Per field, yes. Now, do you wanna just, and that's just gonna be one time? I mean, are you just gonna give them the rest of the chalk the rest of the day, every time they do it?
$25 per field, yeah,
Okay,
I would do that, because
right.
they're paying the fee plus that, so.
Right.
When you do the tournament, I would definitely put, you know, if that guy's got 4 fields, I would say it's $100, material fee, and then whatever the cost of the tournament is. Whatever
Yes,
you're charging
and that's
them.
how Rec Desk is set up.
Perfect.
I can go in there and put it, the
Yeah.
charge per field, I can do an add-on to the charge.
Just, I would just suggest that, you know, I know you've come a long way since we started, but, you know, making sure that the fields are lined straight and, you know, they're decent, so. So
Do my
people-
best with that one.
How's that compare with Clarence Morgan?
Well, that's what I'm getting to. So here, if you go down here, the next one down is the fields for baseball. So right now, the last time, there was a charge that I could track back in our system. We charged $250 for 4 months of practice.
Mhm.
Because it's open use as many practices a week as they want.
Yeah, just $250.
No.
It's cheaper a week.
No, that's wrong. It's not, yeah, it's a number,
per week?
and it's a time limit, yeah.
Okay, well, it wasn't on the contract
Yeah,
that way.
it was, but that's how
Okay.
you divvy those out.
I don't
But
know.
Even the county divvies those out, even if they got, you know, $30 per practice for 90 minutes, they're still only letting you have a
Yes,
field for
2 per week.
2 per week.
But
They-
now, I'll tell you what Jeff's doing too, cause I heard this the other day. They have to call, I think, on Tuesday night and book the field, and they have to call before the end of the business day, so you need to check on that, because they're not. So I said, so what happens if all the fields are taken? They said, then they don't get one. So they're not, I think, you know, that.
Well, I don't how you could do that, because if I'm gonna rent the fields for practice, I'm gonna put it on that
You're
schedule.
gonna put it on the schedule.
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
these numbers are comparable, because $30 per practice, 2 per week for,
No, they're
No,
not,
it's
so,
not.
they're not
they're
comparable.
getting
They went up, they went
They're
up.
getting.
They went up way.
$480.
So if you go back to
During
the
that same time
ones
period.
from Beaufort County, we charged $20 per field.
I know, it's 16.
So, in my opinion, and, you know, I know that this is on record, but $30 is a little high.
Yeah, I
They're
think,
getting $960 during that same.
yeah,
whole time.
they went up about, I think, somebody told me about 600%.
Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah.
So how much should we charge?
Trying to pay for all those new,
My recommendation is
multipurpose fields they're
20.
building out there.
$20?
Because, and the way you have to break it down is, so say a child, you know, comes out there, and Kevin, you're having practice, well, you've got 12 kids, it's easier, and I explained this to the coaches, and this is the way I always explained it, when they were like $20. Technically, you bring your team out there and you tell those parents it's $2 per child to come out there for the practice. That breaks down to a bottle of soda,
Yeah.
a bottle of water.
Oh, so you're talking about charging that per practice and collecting it then?
No, but if the coach pays $20 for the practice, then the way, you know, you go back and if I'm a parent on the team, you know, I'm just gonna be told by the coach, hey, it's $2 a practice.
So that's $40 a week.
Well, I think that's 16 practices, right? At $20 a practice?
Well, I mean, you can split it up per practice.
No, it's 2 practices per week for 16 weeks. So that's 32 practices, $20 is $640. They're at $960, we're at $640 for the same time period.
So we would
Are you full?
over double.
Yeah, me too.
So the only thing that I would make sure of, Shannon, just my suggestion, is that if you're going to do it this way, you gotta make sure that whatever age group is stepped on that field, that field is set for that particular age group. That they're not out there 30 minutes trying to find the bases, cause they gotta move the bases from 13 to 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah, now, when I talked to them, that was just for the field. That $30 per practice is just for the field.
Yeah, right, I know, and I get it, but I know that whenever I had the field at the annex out there, when we got out there for 16U ball, everything was set up for 16U ball. When we
For
got there,
practice?
it was drugged.
I mean, and if we're charging them that much money, like, shouldn't it be set up?
Maybe
Well, I
the
mean,
bases, but I don't know that you could do mounds and stuff.
No, but what you have to do is, when you do the practices, my opinion, is set it up by the field, by the age. So if you're putting a schedule
Yeah,
together,
yeah, yeah,
you
we
wanna
would
keep
put-
the same like kids on that field, so you can maintain that same running distance and
Right.
pitching distance.
It's gonna take a lot of organization.
Yeah, it does, it does, it is, you know, it's really putting it in,
Say it louder for those in the back.
I need staff.
yeah.
If we're gonna do something, I mean, if we're gonna get down to stuff like that, we are gonna
Well,
need another maintenance
Yeah,
person.
and we are, and I'm gonna tell you this, we lost a lot. I don't think we had, how many teams did we have practicing out there, this past season?
I don't know, but I can tell you right now, if I say McCumber's open to rent for practice, I'm gonna have to turn this phone off just to sleep tonight,
Right,
because,
right.
I mean,
And we want that.
that phone has rang
But
off the
so
hook.
if you're generating this kind of revenue, you're bringing the price up so that you can afford that extra staff person, right?
Right.
There should be some budget
Well, and
conversations and projections.
And Brandy, I'm gonna tell you something too, that I will say that, I've seen at other places and talked with, Shannon, you've probably seen this too at your larger location. When you have a maintenance guy that stays out there at the field and does that stuff, you tend to move out the hours of, say, your next guy. So, let's say in the morning, you have a guy that starts there and he's field maintenance, and he gets the field ready throughout the day. You have another guy that comes in about 11
You have a second
o'clock.
shift.
Yeah, and that guy works from 11 o'clock to whatever,
9
till it closes. And there's always a representative out there that's taking care of the field and moving stuff, making sure people are not tearing stuff up. You know, cause when Shannon leaves, and her people leave, that's when you get people throwing the ball up and hitting it up against the fence, bidding it, you know, doing those things.
Yeah.
And it's always good to have
Well, you do,
somebody.
but you know, if we get crazy busy, having somebody that just focuses on just the fields,
Mhm.
you know, because especially in the summertime with the growing season,
Mhm.
like trying to cut
You need
Patriots
a-
and
you
trying to
need a-
cut Giles and
You
trying
need
to,
two people, though, but you do need that second
That
shift
shift,
person.
yeah. We
Like,
need that.
everybody can't leave at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
yeah.
We need that coverage, and then, you know, also thinking about your weekend stuff and all that, then maybe take one of those guys and say, look, I don't want you to work, Thursday, Friday, because I need you Saturday, Sunday for the weekend.
Right.
And then, you know, you give
Yeah,
them that off.
and you do, and I mean, when we were, right before, we closed for renovations, I did assign somebody at the fields every night,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
We did have a lot of part-timers that I could assign, and I wanted them out there. You know, because if you were to get busy with practices and stuff, you could still put a couple of people in the concession stands if nothing but to sell hot dogs, chips, and drinks.
Well, and that's another key that we miss out on during those practices.
Having somebody out.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, you could
Make
really
money.
sell a lot, sometimes the.
And keep it simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
very
what I'm
simple.
saying.
Hot dogs, bags of
Practice,
chips,
hot
and
dogs,
drinks.
bags,
That's it,
chips,
we ain't got
candy,
no
drinks.
chips,
Yeah.
candy and drinks. and
Right,
that's it.
no fried foods.
No,
Yeah.
but,
You don't fire up the whole deal.
no.
Yeah, cause I think your fields
Cause
are
I like a hot
usually,
dog.
your fields are usually,
I used to eat hot dogs when my kids were little.
Oh,
love
gosh,
hot
that's why
dogs.
I love it.
Yeah, I still do.
But so are included in our work that we're having done, we are still locking, that fence and all that will be locked up, right? We
That's
we
what I was
decided
told.
that fence
Yes.
was gonna go across
Yes.
high, locked down at night, so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's what I was
want
told,
it high,
'cause
Yeah.
I'm gonna be,
all gate areas to where they can't drive to the back.
Yes,
Yes.
so Macomber will be completely closed
Secure.
up. Cause they walked back and quoted us on the gate that takes them around the back.
yes.
And that was a really important place because
Yeah.
people would drive
Drive
by the
back
pond and go
Yeah,
all
they're
around.
driving.
There's a lot of romance that goes on in that back.
well,
part of
listen,
the area.
but as far as the fields
Yes.
being
I've
ready,
been back there a time or two
Back there,
myself.
yeah.
but as far as the fields being ready, when the fields are in high use, Shannon, they're usually dragging them
Every day,
every day
Yeah,
anyway, so
yes.
it's usually just a matter of
Yeah.
moving a base.
yeah.
And if the stars would align and everything would be perfect, you could put this age on this field, but I know
Yes.
that won't always happen.
And I did try that, you know, with the past year, trying to keep the 6 U's together, the 8 U's, the
Yes.
10 U's, you know.
And we're
And
giving
it
them-
does make life easier.
We're giving them a great place, and I think if we extend that, like we were talking about, having that extra shift, then that will have the person there that can monitor and take care of things.
And make sure the lights are turned off.
So you're saying $20 for the fields?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that's, and then again, just make sure that you tell them what they're gonna get for that. You know what I mean?
Right. And so we're okay with just doing $20 and not worrying about a light
For
fee?
practice, yeah.
But, yeah, just a flat fee.
Okay, so the tournament now, right now, we're at $100 per day per field. Effingham has moved to $275 per field per day and $375 for the Josh Reddick.
So we want to attract tournaments to our city, so I don't wanna be in line with where they are, I wanna be under where they are.
Well, we can't sell ourselves short because, you know,
I don't wanna sell it short either, but I want us to be
The big
the
places,
go-to place.
why not do 250?
well, when we were in Valdosta,
Enough of a discount.
when we were in
I think
Valdosta,
200.
it was 175 to 200, depending on what.
I was gonna say, I think 200 is.
So I guess,
75 to 200, I'm good with
200.
that.
yeah, because that tournament, that's not a per field, that's a per day, period.
No, that's per field per
Okay,
day,
so that's
yeah,
per field.
yeah.
So what do you find?
But we have done a lot of improvements.
Yeah.
And so, and speaking to the tournament people, you know, they weren't opposed to, you know, if you do improvements to this park, you know, doubling the price does not affect us, you know, so.
Well, more than doubling it, cause we're saying $200 instead of $100 per day, we're saying $200 per field, we have 8 fields.
Yeah, no, that,
No,
it was
that's
$100
day
per field.
That's what she's saying.
Yeah, it was $100 per field, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So if we go to 200.
So we're exactly double.
I mean, if we go to 200, I think that's
Yeah.
a good enough.
I do too.
And what we're offering them, and again,
Right.
well, we're offering them a better facility than what they had before, when they were paying 100.
Yes.
A lot better facility, and we're offering them the people on the weekends to make sure the trash is cleaned up and those
Correct.
type of things.
Well, and one thing that you better stress to those coaches, because when my daughter played ball, we were so, and girls' teams are better than boy teams, I'm just gonna say that, cause it's the truth. That dugout was spotless before our girls
Cleaning.
got out of there. So I want that
Us
to
coaches,
be
yeah.
stressed.
Well, that, we had, and we've been doing this, Jonathan and I had talked about it, and we've been doing this, where we were charging $25 cleaning fee, and that was per field, and that was to go out at the end of the night, clean, you know, blow.
For our people. to go
It not only does that, we did the bathrooms, you know, we cleaned the bathrooms, made sure the bathrooms were restocked, you know, otherwise it was, you know, on Saturday, I mean, you don't charge that on Sunday because we're gonna do that Monday anyway.
All right, and this is one thing I want to implement, and if y'all say no, that's fine. If any, like they were going in the bathrooms and destroying them, if that person renting that park, if something happens to our facility, they need to be held accountable.
How does that work?
Well,
You
so
hold
you think
somebody
a lot of
in-
that was just happening at night though, because they weren't locking the
Yeah, well,
bathrooms at night?
but I'm
Yeah,
gonna, I'm
and
gonna
how
tell
do
you.
you determine that
it's-
it wasn't somebody jumped the fence from the community?
Well, because
Well-
my staff needs to go look at the bathrooms before they leave for the night.
Yeah, well, that and the fact that sometimes you got 50 teams out there.
How
So,
do you determine?
you know, you just.
They
If
automatically
we
lose
don't-
their deposit because we got that.
Correct, yes,
Right.
and I did, you know, one time I did keep Brett's last year, because, I mean, it looked like,
Mhm.
a bomb went off at the park. There were stacks of pizza boxes and stuff thrown all over the ground, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna clean up to a certain extent, but you've also, as a tournament director, need to hold these teams accountable to clean up behind themselves,
Exactly.
you know?
And tell your staff to take photos, so
Yes.
that they can't argue the point.
But we did, you know, and I think it's gonna help this year, you know, because we did take the old trash cans, ugly trash cans, you know, since we ordered the new ones, and those old ugly metal ones, we're painting them, but they're going in the dugouts, so that they're not gonna be just those plastic ones you can push over. You know, they're gonna be the metal that you can put the trash can in, and they'll be sturdy.
Good.
You know, which will
Good.
help too with critters and all that kind of stuff.
Well, and it seems like there's never enough trash cans.
Well, we've got 16 that'll be in the dugouts, and I think I ordered like $14,000 worth for outside the dugout, so we got some trash cans.
Good.
Right, did you get the picnic tables?
Not yet, we gotta talk about that. I got the pictures.
Thank you.
Because that's for fields, you
Yes.
didn't mention lights, but most of the time, this time of year, they're not using the lights.
And that $200 covers the field.
Yeah.
lights.
Okay, and the next one down was the fields for the grass field, soccer. I should've put soccer, like soccer,
Okay.
you know, turf, you know, football type fields next to it.
Okay.
So right now, we don't have a fee at all, and we don't have a tournament fee at all. Effingham's implemented $100 per field and $250 per team for a tournament.
Is this for travel,
This is for
soccer,
Soccer,
Yeah, and
football,
football.
yeah, stuff like that.
travel soccer?
Yes, yes, yes.
So what field are they using for?
They would well, right now, we don't have anything, but I didn't wanna have to come back to this. You know, but you know, I told you that Musco's looking at, we're gonna take the lights out of Giles and follow that plan, hopefully, and make that a field.
Football, soccer type thing, yes, I agree, that'll be good.
So what do you want? You've got question marks, what do you want?
Well, that, question mark says we don't have anything.
But Effingham's charging $250 per team, they're on, what?
That's high.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, that's, that, I mean,
Even,
that might be
even
on-
in Beaufort County, we charge $500 per day for a special event like that.
Right,
Right, but wait a
like
minute.
a jamboree or something.
Anything like that, yeah.
Are you not still using the football fields at the school?
Yeah, we are
Our
for
rec
our
people use that
programs.
and-
Oh, I see,
Yeah,
I see,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
now that's
This
where-
would be just for practice.
Right, okay.
For practice, or for like if somebody wanted to go out and have a tournament,
tournament.
or if somebody wants to go out. We do get calls all the time for people that wanna go out and have like a big event, you know, out at at Giles, you know, they wanna use it for a big event.
I
So,
would definitely reduce that tournament, fee down on that, from that 250.
that's not ours, that's Effingham's.
We don't have one.
We don't have one, so that's what I'm saying. I personally think for the fields, grass is a little bit harder to maintain than clay. But, you know, I think we should look at maybe $30 for the field for practices. But then maybe for like a special event, if somebody wants to go out there and use the whole field for a special event, maybe look at like $400, period.
$400 an event.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hindley, so the centers. Right now, our current fee is $185 resident, $225 non-resident. Effingham, you see, is $400 pretty much for their center, period.
I think
Yeah, that'll
400
change.
is a reasonable.
Yeah, that'll change once we get it redone and good. We will change.
Okay, so let's leave Hindley as it is, but what
Yes.
about Macomber? Right now, we're at $360 and $450.
Oh, that's not high enough.
No, it's not.
You got any suggestions, Shannon?
Alright, well, I'm gonna say this, I did some research, for building suspects, they can also serve alcohol, they can't use alcohol at Macomber, so that's the curveball, but it was $3,000 for the size of the building at Macomber, with the chairs and tables.
This has got a kitchen.
Yeah, so ours include the chairs and tables and the kitchen. So we used to do,
think that's still-
$50 per hour. And $20 per hour for the rental of a room, and $35 per hour for the rental after hours, which I also have the room, cause now that we have the Boy Scout room, you are gonna get people that might wanna come for meetings, whatever, you know, and use that room. So I think we need a lower rate for that.
Yeah.
But I personally don't like the $360 and you get it from 6 o'clock in the morning until midnight. You know, that's just,
Yeah.
you know, and we do have people that have, you know, said, well, we just want it for a couple of hours for a baby shower. Well, when you're giving somebody free reign of all day long, then you can't have an event in the
So
morning
if you
and
do
one in
like-
the
But,
afternoon.
What if you do like
no, we
4
need to
hours?
limit that per hour.
A 4-hour,
4-hour window.
So you
Well-
need tiered pricing, is what
So
you're looking
the-
at. You're looking at a 2-hour window, a 4-hour window, a 6-hour window, an 8-hour window, and a 12-hour window.
Something like
And
that,
that's
yeah,
the other
because
12.
right now what we've got is just,
So
I mean,
nobody gets in the
even at
9 to 12.
Huntley, we've got two people that have asked in the same day to have like a small birthday party or a baby shower, and they can't, because right now what our prices are set at is just, it's $185 and it's all day long.
Your 12-hour window is your $1,600 to $2,000.
Listen, I
That's
agree
your
with,
12-hour window, and then you tier your pricing back based off of that.
I agree with Randy, because if you're doing a wedding, you need 12 hours.
You have to.
If you're doing a birthday party or a baby shower,
You need 2.
2 or 3 is fine, I mean, you know,
Mhm.
I mean, so I think having an
2,
hour
4,
would
6,
be,
8, and 12.
Would work better.
yeah.
But if you got 2 events, you only
A
one
12-hour
occur in the
window,
morning,
I
one
think
in the afternoon.
$2,000 is the right rate for that.
Yeah, because let me tell you, when Kate and Daniel got married 12 years ago, it cost me $1,200 for an outside venue off at on Blanford Road, at Blanford House. And it was table and chairs, that was 12 years ago, I paid $1,200 for that.
Yeah,
So would you,
And it was just the space. No
so would
tables,
you
no
have
chairs.
I know, and then one lady came the other day, and she goes, these are your tables and chairs? Well, how many will you have by next year? I go,
Well,
you're looking at them.
Yeah, this is
So,
what we're
so what about the, you
No,
have a
we need
deposit
more.
for that, right?
Well, I agree, but I wasn't gonna promise
I'll
anything.
take care of that.
Will you have a deposit?
We do have a deposit, it's $150.
That needs to go up.
Yeah, because all I'm saying is if you're having, say, 2 events in a day, and somebody
Right.
don't clean up behind themselves, and you
Yes.
gotta get in there and do that.
Yes.
It's gonna cost us money, so
Yes.
I mean, but if they clean it up, they get their money back, I mean,
Right.
it's.
Yeah.
Now, and we do charge, you know, and I can schedule staff, because I have staff that's close by, you know, if it was a thing in between. But we do charge a $75 cleaning fee, because we are cleaning it really good before a rental. We are.
You gotta go in there every.
We've gotta go in there, yeah, and we're doing that.
Okay.
So, but, I mean, so what do you want as,
I think your minimum rate is $300, and that's for 2 hours.
okay,
You're basically $150 an hour is what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Does that get us to the 12-hour?
Let's find out how close she is.
Let's see what that says.
yeah, let's see, 'cause,
1,800 for 12 hours,
Perfect.
okay,
$150.
You paid 1,800 how many years ago?
2009.
All right, so let's
That's a
go.
steal.
okay, so we're gonna go at $150 an hour. Now, that's resident, what about non-resident?
$2,000.
200 an hour?
Smart.
No, it'd be a little more than that.
No, if 200 is good,
It's
cause
going
that
up.
would make it 2,400 for a non-resident for 12 hours.
Okay. That's fair.
$600 more for being, for not being.
And that's a long
Now, is
time.
that for the
That
Henley
is a
or?
long time.
This is
That's for
Macomber.
McCumber, yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
now where do we wanna
Once the house is
be?
redone, we can talk about that, that's a smaller space.
What's the, they must be out of time at Macomber?
I tell them 10 o'clock.
Okay, cause I just, you know, cause my bedroom's on that side of the house, sometimes it's shaking.
We don't know hours there.
So can we do though with Heinle, can we like,
3 extra extended.
I mean, cause right now, like I said, it's still at $185 and they get
At
it
2
all day
a.m.?
long.
Play. And I'm just gonna play along with
Anybody
that.
that's willing to pay $1 an hour after 10 o'clock, let them roll.
So can we do like $50 an hour for right now?
Yeah, if it's gonna be like a 2-hour thing.
What are you talking about?
What is that?
Like Heinle right now, it's $185 for all day long.
No, I would go $50 an hour would be.
Yeah.
And then once it's remodeled, it'll be.
Oh, yeah, then we'll come up with.
We'll have
prices.
to come back with
Okay.
$100 an hour.
And what about
I think we would
75?
have- I think we'd be close on the prices for the cover, maybe not as much, but after we model, we see who that's out there and all
But
that.
have,
Okay, so non-resident, we'd be at 75?
So 50 for residents?
Yeah,
75 an hour.
okay. All right, and
And we're
then,
charging per hour?
yeah,
Yeah.
and then the room, like the room rate at Macomber. If they wanna come in and rent the Boy Scout rooms for say meetings. We did 35, we did 25 if it was during working hours, 35 if it was after working hours.
Oh, that sounds like.
Fine with me.
Yeah.
What is the room size in there? It's just that room when you walk in?
It's pretty big. I mean, we've got the old conference table at, from City Hall,
And do we
plus
distinguish
we have 4
non-resident
other
on that
tables
one?
in there.
This is width from that front door.
It's just gonna be for me.
I think if somebody has a meeting, they're gonna probably be around our place anyway.
Yeah, and they
Yeah,
might.
I mean, do you need a non-resident rate for that, is what I'm saying?
No, we'll just leave it at
Have
that.
a meeting in there.
Okay, and y'all wanted to go up on the deposit, Effingham, for the rentals, Effingham's at 200.
Yes.
Yeah, because if you remember, Michelle, when we were on that trip, the IDA talked about, they were about to take that, get that building, and they were gonna have, available space, events and stuff, so their rates were close to where we are on that kind of stuff, so I think.
All right, courts, tennis courts, so right now, we're at 10 and 15, they're at 15 and 20, I got those backwards. So my thing is, we either, I don't think the 10 and 15 is bad, or then we still have the option of the 70-30, if,
This is per hour?
yes.
Okay. And this is not just people coming out there and playing at night.
No, this is if you wanna reserve the court. Or, you know, if you have somebody, and we do have people that wanna give tennis lessons, that are going out there and making money off the courts. So, you know, my.
They should pay for the life.
Yeah,
Well, but they are doing a service to the city.
no, they're putting money in their pocket,
Well,
some of them,
do we have anybody else teaching tennis other than the high school?
yes.
You know,
There's a
We
gentleman
do.
that's teaching tennis in the city.
There's a lady that works at South with my daughter that teaches over there.
Yes, there is a couple of them. So, and
Well,
I
I
mean,
would definitely talk to them about the 70-30.
I was gonna say, and I've talked to them about the 70-30 or the 10 and the 15.
Alright.
The sponsors, that's what we were just talking about, Michelle. So a team, or you can get a team sponsor or buy a banner to hang up for $200. A league for a certain age, so say you wanna do the 8-year-olds, then the name would go on the back for the 8-year-olds. Or the corporate sponsor is at $1,500 right now, which would put the name on the front of every single jersey.
Who's gonna call and ask about that? Who's gonna?
We actually had sponsors last
Okay.
time. You know, we did, we had sponsors and, you know, that we kept.
Done.
All right, the next page. Currently, we didn't have any fees, so I put them down in the event that we start. $4.50 a team for adult softball, $4.50 a team for flag football, same all the way down. Any adult sport, kickball, soccer, baseball. And that includes a t-shirt.
I
Yeah.
wanna play kickball.
I wanna
Oh, I
start
can see her
kickball.
doing it. I can see her doing it.
It's coming, cause I wanna do it too.
Okay.
And then, so if you look at the sports fees, these are all over the board. We're charging $70.
My daughter just got my lesson late and she's burnt.
Oh, no. Do you need help?
No, I'm gonna call now.
Okay.
His daughter got in a car accident late and she's. Oh,
Here,
gosh.
got burned.
Well, that's on.
Okay.
Let's finish.
Yeah, this won't take but a minute. So, baseball, right now we're at $70.
Good job.
Baseball, you get a hat, a belt, a socks, and a shirt. You get more than you get for cheerleading or basketball, and you're paying less. So my suggestion is that we go 75 across the board with the,
For all of them?
for all of them.
Okay.
Now, explain the open, where you got four.
So the open league is, if you
That's
wanna,
an open league.
yeah, if you wanna bring your whole team in, it's $425.
But they provide all their own stuff too.
All but the balls and the officials.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, yeah.
Good, yeah, I like that too.
So everything's gonna be
All right, but do
75.
you give a second child discount or a third child discount type thing? Because I know it costs us, but no?
No, and Rec Desk doesn't set it up that way
Okay,
either.
all right.
All-star uniforms, I ran into this year. So all-star uniforms are $25 is what we've been charging for all-star uniforms, and we're paying 35 or 40. Because we're having to go to a specialty place to get them, because we're having to get them and get them back quickly,
Right.
you know. So my suggestion on the all-star uniforms was keep it at cost, but that we charge the cost of what it is instead of just $25.
Okay, that's.
Like we paid $50 this year for the softball and the baseball
So
jerseys.
you would have to have the upfront number, sizes and everything, and order it, and then if it comes out to be $575, that's what we charge.
Right,
Okay, sounds good.
okay,
So
just to cover our costs,
So we just write actual cost.
actual
And you
costs,
can add to it,
right,
it's just what it costs.
just what it costs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
and then consider
concessions, you can take that out, I had that because of the code. Late fee, so, in the past, I've always done a late fee. And what that is if registration ends on August the 1st, then we know what we do is we sit down and we figure out, okay, you know, we can have 4 more kids to make the same number of kids on a team in this league, 8 more on here, and we start a wait list with the number of kids. Well, if we charged a late fee of $20, what I did was I implemented, there was a $20 late fee, but that late fee went into a fund that was used for scholarships. And people could apply for a scholarship for children to play, or a scholarship, because like with football, we've had some people that have come up and said, I don't know, I can't afford a helmet. You know, I mean,
I think that's a good idea.
and so that $20 would be left in a fund account that would just be used for children's scholarships.
Okay.
And then the fair, I just put to be determined, because that could change depending on cost and whatever. Rodeo to be determined. You know, we'll figure it out each year as we come. Of course, we're not trying to up the cost.
Rodeo, no, because they have a fee for us.
Right.
For those, and the fair people usually have a fee.
Like, I think we
But
went up
we
$1
had some
this
stuff,
year
yeah.
on the fair to cover the cost of the extra, wash stations and the toilets and all that kind of stuff, but, you know, nothing significant. Stars and Stripes, we don't charge. Athletic events would be to be determined. If we held a state tournament or something, a lot of, like DDV baseball, they tell you, you can't go over $7 a person. So that would be to be determined as well. And then the 70-30 programs, that's up to the instructor. If Mona comes in and says, for yoga, I'm gonna charge $8, you know,
And I
that,
expect you all to be there.
yeah, that's hers. So,
We'll all be in the hospital the next day.
Do we need to add the late fees to this?
we could,
Since we now do Christmas parade and the Stars and Stripes parade,
we could,
What is that, Randy?
parade fees?
Yes.
$25 a float.
Did we charge for the last one?
We
We
did
didn't,
not.
because we were.
We didn't have time.
Let's go.
Well, we were starting it out, but we
Let's
wanted
do 20.
Okay.
I think it goes without saying, but not for nonprofits.
Yeah.
Nonprofits we typically waive, right?
Right.
Lay nonprofits.
So Michelle said 20,
Yes.
and then
That would
waive
include like
nonprofit?
Shriners.
Yeah.
VFWs.
Yeah, like the Shriners or anybody like
Or the
that, yeah.
bands, or.
Yeah, and the schools
Bands.
or anything like that,
Yeah.
but if you've got like a business that you're trying to advertise, $20.
Yeah. That's fair.
So I'll take your $20.
So that civic organizations kind of 501c3.
Seniors,
Yeah,
seniors was or whatever we have.
Yeah.
they got a 501c,
Yeah, you got a 501c.
right?
Is that everything for fees?
That's everything for fees, and the last thing I'm gonna bring up, just to give you guys something to think about, that I've been approached, with a couple of coaches from. I know that when I started, that, I was hired on as interim, and we thought that everything was gonna be done by, you know, through the summer. It's been pushed back to October. I'm being told it could be pushed back another, you know, however long. Just something to think about, because I have had coaches that have come to me, and I haven't thought about it, because in my mind, this is where I'm at, this is where I work, this is where I wanna stay and retire and grow old. But some of the coaches, you know, 2 of them have approached me lately and said, hey, you know, you're still interim, is there a reason, or are they still looking? You know, do we wanna stay around, you know,
Are you leaving?
are you leaving? So it has been in question. So I said, well, you know, I haven't thought about it, it's never dawned on me.
Well, and I guess we need to address it.
We need to talk about that.
Cause you had, what, 6 months interim?
Yeah. I think that.
Life's been a little crazy, Shannon.
Little?
So she's reached that 6-month mark, and maybe that's something that we have to talk about in our next
Yeah,
executive
we'll have
session.
to talk about that.
Yeah, but I just wanted to bring it up
That's
because
fair.
it did get brought to me and I was like, no, I'm not going anywhere. You have to sign up and coach.
Okay, so,
You know,
I appreciate you.
before we
reminding
close out
us.
real quick, we did not vote on the park, the J.C. Park, that meeting, the last meeting.
Oh, we didn't?
We did not. So the only
That
thing I
needs to be
know
on
is,
the next
especially with
agenda.
Kevin, the only thing I know to do, because, we really need to get this moving, Terry's gonna check with them and see what they can do to help push the plans to get finished. She's gonna talk to this Matt guy. And then we need to get the vote done, so we got the money, cause we're gonna have to bid, so
So,
do we wait 2 more weeks on that, or do we have a special meeting?
We could have a special meeting. That's not a problem, as long.
So I send out an email to everybody with the sketches.
Okay,
Well, we already approved.
So we approved the project, and we
Right.
know moving
We
forward.
have not.
we
No,
didn't
no, no,
approve
no,
the
no, no,
dollar
no.
amount, we approved the
We have
project
consented
and
the
getting the
project,
money.
we have consented the project.
Right.
Right, but we
Okay.
need to look at the price and the final sketch, and y'all say, got,
Can we do that via email?
no.
No, not with that amount of money.
That amount of money.
All right, well, we'll just have to have an
You got-
emergency
put
meeting.
everything-
But if she starts, they're not gonna spend more than $20,000, which is what the city manager is allowed to spend before we get to the next city council meeting, so do we really need a special meeting
You think
before
we
we
could-
approval?
You think we need, get with Matt and see what his time frame is and what he needs to finish those plans. Because I think
If it's
John,
less than 20, then she can just approve it.
because
and then
y'all
we
were in that
approve it.
meeting, the only thing we asked him to add to that sketch was the lamps, and was there a couple more benches we wanted added, was there
Right,
anything
that
else?
was it.
Jonathan, cause see, Jonathan took those notes and sent him that, so as long as he adds that stuff, he can go ahead and finish it, right?
Yeah, I think it was what, 1,200 a redo, or is that what it
So,
was?
Jonathan was checking,
Yeah.
so
Did you
if-
want additional views?
I don't
We
think,
just-
I don't.
he wanted $2,200 for that, I don't see any need to
No.
spend $2,000 for a view, I think y'all can see what you need to see for the sketch.
But we
Is
need
that
to
just
have, we need to have architectural sketches for the
That's what he's
landscape.
working on now.
Okay,
But
that's
we,
what she's
that
working on.
money is less than the threshold for the city manager to approve, so can't he go ahead and move? Can't he
I say
just
let's
ask
keep moving, cause Jonathan had him moving anyway.
to get the
And-
plans, and then bring the plans and the dollar figure here at the next city
Okay,
council meeting for next
so
February.
everything's there, for the plan, that, we're satisfied with the plan. So with that amount of money, they can go ahead and do it, and then we can approve it. And
At
we-
city council.
That's the next meeting, and
Right.
if for some
Then
reason.
bids can go out.
Yeah.
As long as,
Alright.
you know, no change.
So
If it
you'll
is, it
work on
goes
that,
up
Terry?
that.
Y'all work on that, okay. I guess we need to, remember Kevin's daughter and our
Yeah,
prayers
he just
tonight.
sent a text.
You wanna close with
What do you
prayer?
say?
Yeah, I will close.
Yeah.
What'd he say?
Are we still recording?
We're still recording right
I
now,
know.
but didn't know if you knew what.
We'll talk about it.
We already
Can we
stopped.
close- Can we close in prayer? Let's pray. Lord God, we just asked your blessings on Kevin and his family, dear Lord. We just asked, Holy Spirit, that you just, breathe on and hold close to his daughter, protect her through this, dear Lord. Heal her, put wise and loving arms around her, give Kevin and Kelly and them safe travels to get to her, dear Lord. Dear Lord, we just, thank you for our city, we thank you for our staff, we thank you for our council, and dear Lord, we just ask that we do everything we do to glorify you, that's in your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
We are adjourned, we need to vote, we have to vote.
We don't know.
Yeah, we have to turn it off. As soon as it's off, we'll-
Come on, I'm hungry.
Okay, I'll just